when you see it live on YouTube.
I don't know. I got to pull up your channel. Do that.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if we're live yet. Yep, we're live. It says 2 are waiting, so I don't think they're in yet. Okay, I had to mute it. That's why it was echoing. Yeah, I'm one of the waiters too. Okay, if you guys have pulled up my channel on YouTube, put the YouTube one on mute so we can hear it through StreamYards. I don't think anyone's here but us.
Can anybody
Hello,
hear
everybody.
me?
I can
Yep.
hear you.
Everyone do a sound check.
Can hear you.
Xander, say something.
I'm in.
Okay. Welcome to a Las Vegas shooting live stream. I don't think we've done one of these in like 2 or 3 years. A lot of people aren't in the chat yet. We had some technical difficulties and had to cancel the whole thing and start another one because I couldn't figure out how to do StreamYards because they changed it. But anyways, we're going to do a live stream. We got another one going tomorrow night. If you're not catching this live, you can always watch the playback. I thought the chat would be interesting tonight, though, based on what we're going to do. Tonight, what we're going to do is Xander and Angelica both sent me a link to a interview of this bombshell Las Vegas information. So it's got some interesting stuff in it. I think the guy's claiming that he discovered a lot of things that we already knew, but anyways, we're going to dissect it. It's only 20 minutes long, but that's the whole point of tonight. I don't want this to be too long because tomorrow night we have a really long one. Pointed Stick was able to get an 80-minute body cam of Levi Hancock that no one in the world's ever seen before. So he did a live stream the other night or the other day on his channel with it, but I wanted to do a live stream tomorrow night because I don't think he's got as many subscribers or didn't have as many views, but Las Vegas Shooting Archive did post the video, and within a couple hours of him posting Pointed Stick's link, he had over 100,000 views. So I think if anyone's going to get the views on that, it's definitely going to be his channel. But we're going to do a live stream tomorrow night, and Pointed Stick is going to go through and, stop and start. And he didn't really do that on his channel. He played it. He talked a little at the beginning, and he played it so we could all watch and kind of talk in the chat as it went along. So tomorrow, if I'm not incorrect, Pointed Stick, aren't we going to stop and start and let you talk in between?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, I'm cool.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Okay, so tonight, no one's here yet. I don't know if I want to start this. Oh, we do have 9 watching. Anyone that's in the chat, can you type in a hi, how are you, or something, just so we know who's here? Oh, Discerning Light's here. Hey, DL, how are you doing? Heck of a day to go live. You must have had a rotten day, too. I've been painting all day, and I'm so hot and sweaty. I was like, I need a shower. I haven't seen Discerning Light in a long time. If people come in here, we are going to see a lot of people. Like I said, we haven't done a live stream on Vegas in years. So the new video showed up. It's got the interview. And then tomorrow, like I said, we've got the Levi Hancock body cam. Well, we're waiting for some more people to come. I don't want to start that video yet. Pointed Stick, will you just talk about how you came about getting the Levi Hancock video and a little bit about it, and kind of you're going to do a little commercial for me for tomorrow night of what's, what we're going to see.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Basically, what ended up happening is there's a guy in the Discord whose name is Comrade Chimp in the Discord. He goes by a bunch of different handles on X and stuff like that, but he figured out, he went and watched the 11 minutes documentary that was put out by Paramount Plus in 2022. And I'd seen the documentary before, but it has footage from inside the room. It has all kinds of footage in there. But, the problematic stuff was inside the room. So at some point, he figured out that was not Bitsko's footage, because that should be the only footage that's theoretically out there that's inside the room. So through some work by some of the people in the Discord, him, Eric Peters, and LVSA, such, they figured out that that was Levi Hancock's video camera, right? So at that point, we knew Levi Hancock's camera was on at some point throughout the night. And so then the next step is trying.
Wait a minute, you guys couldn't figure out it was him by his voice?
Well, you got everybody's voice in the video, so
yeah, you're right. One of the guys sounded like you.
it's like 2 seconds, each clip. So, it was you're not looking at the full video. You're looking at little split second clips of footage. So so through that he found out that there was something strange about the footage, and he figured out that it was Levi Hancock. And then so at that point we knew Levi Hancock's footage actually existed, and so then it was a process of trying to get that footage. So I called the LVMPD, dealt with them. They were pretty good about it. It's interesting because the first guy I talked to didn't know who Levi Hancock even was, had no clue what I was asking for, but eventually I put through what they have. Their thing as far as a FOIA, I think it's called an NRP or something like that. Not sure what it stands for, Nevada something, but I had to put one of those in through the department. And I eventually got a email back. And once I got the email back saying they wanted a bunch of money to edit this thing, because it's on their website that they have fees for editing this video, this footage.
How long did this process take? I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just curious from when you decided to try to get this to when they actually put it in your hand.
I think it was about 2 months.
Oh, wow.
About 2 months. We've been dealing with this. So, at that point, I called back the detective, talked to her. She was cool about it. She was saying that it was going to take 8 to 12 months unless you pay for the expediting, which I did. And then she told me she would have it to me in 3 weeks. So, about 3 weeks later, I called him back, and then I got a hold of her. And, she told me she was done with it. She had to send it to her sergeant to get approved, and then it would get to me. Next day I got it. I got the footage, and it was had the first 4.5 minutes of the footage was a black screen that said inside the hotel room /body. Figured that was going to be problematic, and that's not really what I wanted anyway. So called her back and said, what the fuck is up with this? And they were all really cool. She was cool. I talked to her a little bit about it, and there were a couple other problems with the footage, but mainly that was it. I wanted that first 4.5 minutes because obviously inside the room is huge. And what she told me is, she said, you got to look at it like, for instance, if there was a domestic violence call and the police have to go into your house, they're not allowed to show footage inside of a private residence. They're not allowed to show footage that is not publicly accessible. So that was the reason they blacked out the first 4.5 minutes. The argument was that we used, and this was, like I said, a group effort, because this was all the guys in Discord that we were all dealing with this together. And so the argument that was used was, this has been on public television. This footage is out there. It's been out there. It was given to a company called Archive Ninjas that was doing the work for Paramount Plus to get them the footage for this documentary. And so this has already been released. And
wait a minute, is it on Paramount Plus that we can go watch it?
Well, not this footage, right? There's snippets of this footage that's on Paramount Plus. Right, so
I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, you can watch it. There's a documentary called 11 Minutes. It's 3 episodes. And if you watch it, you will see parts of this footage, but you'll see, I believe it's a full 5 seconds of the 4.5 minutes at the beginning of this footage that is actually played on that documentary. But through that 5 seconds, that's how we figured out that this footage existed. That's the point of this. And so through that, I talked to the girl. I said, look, this isn't right because, obviously this has already been made publicly accessible. It's been broadcast on national television. There's no reason to hold it back. So she had to file that with her legal department. And she said she'd get back with me in a couple days on that. So the deal is, there's a couple things with the footage that are problematic that people are going to have problems with. One was that the blacked out footage. There's also they black out the footage inside the stairwells. And she said the reason she did the stairwells as well as the room is because she felt the stairwells were not publicly accessible either because the security guard was the one opening the stairwells for him. She thought that the security guard was unlocking those stairwells. So, obviously that's false. I let her know this is you can't block fire exits for any reason in a hotel. So that's false. So she had no problem with that. I told her she didn't have to re-edit it. I didn't care about the stairwells really at all, and so she didn't. I believe they left that in there. The other problem is the officers' faces were all blurred out. So that is a new statute that came about 2 years ago because of a different case that's completely uninvolved with this one. And so as of 2 years ago, that department now has to blur out all the faces of any officers in any of the body cam video that they produce. So there's a bit of that. The other question I had for him was the start and end of this video footage. Is it the natural start and end of this file? Or is there more to this footage that was edited out? And she told me that is the entirety of the file that she found on this. So that's what's going on with that. And that's pretty much it. So then a couple days later, I guess we didn't really expect much, but the legal department came back and allowed her to give me the footage. So she re-edited it, where she just basically unedited the first 4.5 minutes. She edited out, I think, the faces, obviously, of the cops, and then the body that was on the ground. That was edited as well in the 11 minutes footage. Yeah, and then that came in, and within a couple hours of that, I threw that live and gave it to LVSA to put it on his channel, and yeah, it's kind of going crazy right now.
Tell them that they charged you a fortune.
They charged me a fortune. They charged me a lot of money. It was not cheap.
I was thinking about that when you were talking about all the editing, and actually, I don't know how much she makes an hour, but if she had to spend 10 or 15 hours editing this thing, you probably just paid for her work.
Well, yeah, and I think this girl who I talked to, this detective I talked to, she wasn't there. I don't think anybody in this office was there for, in 2017, at least not for that event, because, most of them didn't seem to know who Levi Hancock even was.
That's funny.
I think he quit the department a couple years back. So I think a lot of these people are newer people to the department that are in this, the body cam part of this.
Well, they might not know all the SWAT members' names because they're not actually working in their department. And I wouldn't think it would be normal for a regular cop, and they didn't investigate this the way we did. So it might not be a household name to them like it is to all of us.
I don't know. He seems like that night he was kind of the hero of the department. So I would think the next day.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Exactly who he is. And
I don't know how you could live in Las Vegas and have not known just from the amount of publicity it got.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a lot of these people are fairly new. They didn't seem to know a lot about the event itself. So, and I wasn't really asking too much about it. But yeah.
Xander had gone one time. Xander, go ahead and tell him about it. You had gone and tried to get information, and the people you talked to acted like they didn't know much either. Do you remember that?
Are you talking about when I went in person to
Yeah.
the police station?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met with the detective that I've been discoursing with online, and we had a face-to-face. And he was, matter of fact, he just said, I don't really see why you guys are looking for more than what we've already told you. And I said, well, to me, it's pretty clear that there's a lot more than what you've already told me, and we're just after all the evidence that you've got available so that we can interpret it. You guys may not be correctly interpreting what you've seen, and it's important that we all have a chance to review. So, like this new body cam footage, it's strange that wasn't in the initial release. They worked really hard to put everything out there. How did this fall through the cracks? And
Yeah,
then,
did they give you a reason for
just
that?
commenting on it briefly here now.
Pointed stick, did they give you a reason for that? Why we didn't get it before?
I have a reason for that, and I don't want to talk about it because,
That's
like
okay.
I said, we want to figure out, if there's any way we can. I don't know. I want to talk to the boys that are dealing with this right now, the guys that came up with it originally, that figured this out, that this existed, and see what they can come up with as far as that goes. But if we throw it out there, then yeah, it's going to be
right. Yeah, don't let other people get their sticky fingers in it. If you guys are on it, just stay on it.
Yeah.
Plus, you don't want the
It's pretty clear to me that the
police
issue is the
department
body,
to tell them to
Kathy.
shut up because they know we're talking about it. Oh, what, Xander?
It's pretty clear to me the issue is the fact that the body is so clearly lit and documented in this footage. Unlike the breaching footage, I mean, the room is well lit. They've been in there a while. All the lights are on, and it's clear that the body is a big part of the scene
See,
here.
I was painting when Pointed Stick went live with this, so I was like listening to it and kept peeking over at the chat. So I haven't actually sat down and watched this. So the part you're talking about will be very interesting to me, but I haven't really paid attention and seen that yet. CJ, you said all the important stuff was in the first 4 minutes, and it's not.
The first 4.5 minutes is yeah.
Xander, is that early on or later? The part you're
No, it's
talking
right in
about.
it's right in the beginning.
No, it's right in the
So
beginning. You want
just
to play
like
the
what
first.
Pointed
It's super
Stick said,
important.
the first 4 minutes.
You can play the first 4.5
Yes.
minutes, man. You don't really have to play the whole damn thing. The rest
Should
of
I
it
Right.
play it right now before we get into that interview?
if you want. It's up to you.
All right, I'm going to figure out how to pull it up. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, and you should probably get my face off screen and put everybody up there.
All right, well, I put your whole face because you were talking. So I don't see a... Okay, there we are. That's how we were before. All right, I have to find the video. I've already got it pulled up, but where it says present or invite, that's what I'm going to hit on, right?
Yeah, you're gonna hit present, and then you're gonna hit
Share screen,
and then share it to the screen that you have LVSA's version of it brought up.
Yeah.
I mean, I can play it too. I got it up too, but
okay, are you guys seeing the screen on YouTube?
yeah, rewind it all the beginning. Rewind it all the way to the beginning. You're 51 minutes.
Okay, everybody, hit mute on the StreamYard. Unless you're going to talk about this, just cut in. I'm going to hit mute on me, so I don't... Okay.
You got to go to the beginning. You can't. This is like halfway through it. There. Yeah, rewind it. There you go.
Dude, I counted 13 lines. There's one right
Control Zebra 20. Control Zebra 20, copy some information on a potential name possibly related with the suspect. It was a player's card that was out on the countertop next to the wallet of the suspect. That's 419 break. It is a M Life Platinum player's card with the name of Mary Lou Danley. Mary Lou Danley. Mary, Adam, Robert, Ida, Lincoln, Ocean, Union. Last name is Danley. David, Adam, Nord, Lincoln, Easy, Yellow.
They live together. I checked the address.
Okay. Where did you see
I saw she got chicks in this room.
Okay.
She had chicks in her name. She live together.
Control 020. It looks like that name I gave you shares an address with the suspect. We can give you that address if you if we need to send units there. What is
Just like me.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the same as his driver's license address as well. Hey, do you see any reason we need to be in here at this point?
Nope.
Okay, yeah, let's just back
We
out.
need to get armor for those bags over there.
Yeah.
They're clear.
He took a look at them.
What's inside with the wires? A vibrator. Huh? A vibrator. Is it really? And the other one is just a power cord, power strip. Nothing else in it. What's this here?
That's mine. That's mine. Will you do me a favor? Pick that up. That's what he was doing. You're last.
Do you see he's got something set up?
Yeah, we saw the
What is that? What is
cameras. It's cameras.
that camera down there
Yeah.
on the floor?
We saw it when we breached this door. It was something. We knew it was something. But dude, I had to get a charge on this door. With all the other shit going on, I felt like we had to see if we got a response from this
Cover
guy.
that door while you were doing that.
Yeah.
We had you covered down here.
There's another one facing down. That one was facing the door. Yeah.
All right, are you guys gonna keep playing this way?
Pardon?
We're clear this whole week's done.
The rest of
The other two, yeah.
Sergeant, we're good. You can clear everybody else out that you need to. Actually, let's leave. Can you give me at least 2 bodies to at least stay here?
Extra for a minute if you want.
Okay, and after that, he won't go back into the room. That's it.
You guys stay here. Nobody else in and out.
They'll show a little bit of the car right there, but that's about all you're going to get from that area out of that. After that, he
Hang on.
goes down into the casino, then he goes into his car, then he comes back. And
Well, I have a question for you. When you said you guys were all in a group trying to figure out who it was, did you not know who Zebra 20 was?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you got to watch the 11 minutes footage, because if you're gonna, you got to understand the 11 minutes footage. I don't even know if his
That's
voice
on
was in
Paramount
it.
Plus.
Yeah, I don't think his voice was actually in any of the 5 seconds of clips that they used in that. But regardless of that, there is some.
Oh, so you guys first saw it on there, and then you were like, "Hey, we got to find this."
Yeah, you got to follow along. Okay, so
Gotcha.
Here's the
Well, I'm
deal.
just playing with little windows here,
Yeah.
trying to get organized.
yeah, so he originally saw 5 seconds of footage on Paramount Plus. Within that 5 seconds of footage, and there's actually more because they showed a lot of Bitsco footage as well. I always thought that was Bitsco footage, but this guy figured out that was not Bitsco. And then it went into trying to figure out who it was. I believe in one of the clips, we do hear Levi's voice. But, originally I didn't put anything in behind that. And so this guy went in there and figured out who it was.
Good job, guys. My takeaways from this, obviously, they're still masking the body. They don't want us to see the body. That remains really curious to me. And then the other thing
I
that
agree.
I noted in the overall clip, which we didn't see just now, Kathy, it's buried in the other hour. They do talk at one point. They're chatting about how the fact that if he had been alive, he would have shot through the door. They talk about like some guy laying in the hallway. Might need some more context on that, but I thought that was a curious remark. And then, if I'm right, timestamp upper right corner. This is 6:30 in the morning the next day, correct? So, um, about 8 hours or so after the event. Do you all agree with all of
No,
that?
no, I don't agree with any
No,
of it.
this is right when they breached the room.
No, that's the time on the cameras is UTC time. It's not that
Yeah, yeah. You got to
wouldn't have
remember to do the math.
Pacific time on
That's
there.
the time right when they
Okay,
first
thank
went
you.
in the room. Yeah.
All right, so that's down. So what time? So how soon after the room? Because it looks. I mean, it's well. Like I don't think it's right
It's
when they went in.
it's after 11:30 at night.
Subtract 7 hours.
Because it took
Subtract
them
7 hours from
60
the time.
minutes to get into the room. Wasn't that what
Okay.
it was back
Yep.
then?
And they went in at what 11:10? Is that right?
My mind
No,
is so far away. Gosh.
that's another thing. I'm going to be discussing that in
72
lock.
minutes was the time that they wasted before they breached the door from the time the shooting happened.
Yeah. Last
I
shots
think
were
that's what we used to talk
10:15,
about.
and so yeah, 11:20, something like
Because
that. All right. So
they
now I
fiddled
got the
in the
time right.
hallway and did
What
all
else was
that.
wrong with what I said? You said you didn't agree with any of it. What else?
Well, they're going to black out
He
the
doesn't
body. They're
believe
not
our
going to show
body.
you a dead body.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they're hiding the body.
Well, they
They had
the
to.
other
I'm not saying
pictures
they're
and
hiding.
stuff.
They're hiding. They're masking the. What else?
Okay, as long as you're not throwing malicious intent right directly behind
No,
it.
Third
you
thing
two
about
have to
if
get
he was
along and
alive, he
be
was shot through the
nice.
room. Do you remember that part?
The what?
No, I just said you two have to be nice to each other, even though we
No, no.
don't all agree on our
I'm being
theories.
nice. I'm just saying, dude, as long as you're not throwing it directly on malicious intent, because obviously the LVMPD is not going to give you footage of corpses.
I don't know why they
Yeah, but
wouldn't,
you know
though, if
where,
they
here's where this argument
photograph.
breaks down though, is it's also when they won't provide the high res images that went along with the very image in the fit report,
See,
things are
that's what
amiss.
Xander went to
But
the police
we,
for
we
originally. He wanted the photographs from the crime scene, and they told him, we've already seen them all. And he's like, no, they take hundreds of pictures from a crime scene, not just the 7 or 10 or whatever they gave us. But they wouldn't fork over any photographs to him.
Yeah, and I'm 2 years into a
yeah,
FOIA with the FBI over that, and they
Still won't give them to
supposedly,
you.
well, they're going to give them to me. They said, and but that's a 5-year waiting process on that.
why the 5-year waiting process? What's their rationale?
Because the FBI, it takes them 5 years to pretty much do anything. So if you do a FOIA, because anyone can do this, it's not very tough to do a FOIA. But if you do a FOIA with the FBI, what's going to happen is within 2 weeks you're going to get, well, within 24 hours you're going to get.
Yeah, we've all gotten those letters.
Within 2 weeks of that, you're going to get a something saying that either yes, we found this, or no, we didn't find this. And if they found it, then you're going to eventually get within months after that is you're going to get a letter saying that this is how long it's going to take, depending on how many pages it's going to be within, whether it's digital format or not, because you got to expect the FBI's got to be extremely busy. I mean, most of the stuff you're seeing on the vault right now has to do with that dude that jumped out of the plane with all the money fucking back in the 70s, right? So they're dealing with stuff.
DB Cooper?
Yeah, DB Cooper, yeah. So there's all kinds of DB Cooper stuff on the vault. So they're dealing with stuff that's not, they're not.
Wow, what year is that from? The 50s?
I don't know. I thought it was 70s, but I could be wrong.
Was it 70s? I don't know. I'm just trying to pull a number out, but I know it's way far back.
Yeah, and then they got all the mafia stuff, Rothstein and stuff like that. I mean, they go all the way back. So, these guys are going through footage and well, not footage necessarily, but files and stuff like that, dating all the way back to the foundation of the FBI. And so, what they'll send you is a letter saying if it's within 50 pages, they'll send it to you within 3 months. You'll get it within 3 months. If it's anything over 50 pages, then it goes into the territory of going to a year. And
1971, DB Cooper, Discerning Light looked it up.
Okay.
Or she knows it.
I thought it was 70s. Yeah, and then if it goes within, I don't have it pulled up in front of me. I could probably pull it up, but If it goes over, I think it's like 2,000 pages or whatever, it's a 5-year wait. And that's just
So it's
standard.
not odd that they haven't given us the stuff then.
No, it's just standard for them. I was surprised they actually said they were going to give it to me, because usually the FBI is pretty good at coming up with excuses for why they're not going to give you anything. And with a lot of this, that's what it's been. I mean, I've got probably 30 FOIA requests out there. I think only 2 have actually got me results. But a lot of times what they'll do is they'll call you and they'll email you and they'll say, hey, if you'll limit this down to 50 pages. So yeah, you probably could have got the first 50 crime scene photos, but that doesn't mean you're going to get 50 pages of crime scene photos. That means you're going to get 50 pages of whatever you're going to get, whatever the first 50 pages was, but redacted. So that means that 30 of those pages, yeah, it could be redacted for one reason or another. The FBI has very strict rules on why and what they will hand out. And that's, I don't know, it's for their own reasons, but it's part of the FOIA process. And, so anything
Sounds like a bunch of pain in the ass to me.
It is. And I think the FBI is very, they're not forthcoming with anything, right? They don't want to give you anything. And they'll find
wait a minute, is your point here that they're not really hiding anything from us? It's just that it takes forever?
Well, no, what I was trying to say is he was talking about getting the crime scene photos, and crime scene photos are something you could probably get from the FBI, and the FBI is willing to give them out, obviously, but we don't know what the results of that are going to be at this point. I don't think
actually they didn't give us the crime scene photos. A reporter that Levi Hancock used to date is where those came from.
That's what the story was. That's what the story was. But we, one of the guys in the Discord kind of has reason to disbelieve that. He doesn't really believe that that's the case. He thinks it might have come from somewhere else, but that's his research, and he hasn't told me the whole story.
I'd be interested to hear that, yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't told me the whole story on that, so, I'm not going to press him on that.
Well, okay, we're getting off topic now because we're all back on the FOIAs, but I had a question for everybody in the chat, too, because this is going to come up in this interview we're going to play. Is anybody aware that Trump or any congressman are pushing to get this information? Because I know he's talking about releasing JFK and Epstein and stuff, but it's like I haven't heard a word about this. And in the interview,
I haven't heard anything either.
Have you,
No,
No, I'm aware that Miriam's given him $100 billion or something, and that's about it.
You guys ready for me to play the interview?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, and then I'm going to stop and pause it a lot so that we can talk about it.
Huh.
All right, hang on a second. All right, it's the first one. I got to figure this out again. Okay.
Just hit present, share screen. There you
go. Okay, is it on the screen?
Oh, this is a redacted podcast? I saw this one. This fucking guy's a loon.
This is from 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
help me figure out what is it. It strikes me that way too, but I would really appreciate the rally and collective thoughts on everything.
There is no bombshell in his thing. He's repeating a bunch of stuff that we already have, done through our research or talked about on YouTube. But anyways, I'm going to play it so that everyone can, if you want me to stop and pause, just say pause.
What's so stop it right now?
Usually when they say bombshell, there's usually nothing there.
This guy's a tourist. He's a tourist, man. This guy has not done any research into this whatsoever.
Oh, so I can tell. It's like, what did he do? Go watch some of our live streams? Because he acts like, I luckily came across the log interrogation report. And I'm like, okay, so you figured this out in 1 minute. Hunter worked
Most of these guys are Hoover people.
All right, I'm playing it.
All right.
But yeah, we weren't playing this to show that there was any bombshell. We were basically showing it to chop it up.
I think I watched about a minute and a half of this and I gave up.
Oh, I watched
the whole
20 minutes.
Watch the whole thing. I'd appreciate your discernment.
Yep. Okay, I'm turning it on.
Let's get it, Kathy.
Saying of the things they'd like answers to: the Epstein files, the JFK files, and the real story, the real information about that shooting in Las Vegas, that massive shooting in Las Vegas. Still so many unanswered questions. Will we see those files? Well, one person who was an eyewitness to the events of that night worked at the sister property right next to the Mandalay Bay, which is the MGM. He was there, and what he saw is actually shocking. Have any members of the law enforcement spoken to him about what he saw, what he's uncovered? Well, let's get to the bottom of it. Let's speak with Aidan Monahan, who worked at the MGM Grand Hotel, an eyewitness that evening. And I just want to put up here, and Aidan joins us now. Aidan, I'm going to show just for our audience here your key card, your sign-in card from the MGM Grand. Let's show this here, which sits right next to the Mandalay Bay. So take us back to that night and what you saw unfold, and what were you...
Hang on, guys. I'm looking on the YouTube window, and it doesn't look like it's showing the video. I can hear the audio, but are you guys seeing this video when you go to the YouTube link?
Yep.
I see it.
Yeah, it's playing.
Okay, maybe it's just me. All right,
What were
I'm
you
hitting
doing
play
on
again.
duty at that time?
Hey, Clayton. Thanks for having me on. Good to be back. Yes, on October 1 of 17, I was employed as a security officer at the MGM Grand Hotel during the events at Mandalay Bay, the Route 91 Festival shooting event. I had just returned from break. Over my radio, I had heard a bunch of sudden traffic, a bunch of units trying to get on the air to report that dozens, if not hundreds of people were pouring into our entrances.
This is Pod 5, the first fully immersive
Oh shit, you got Bombay commercial.
Adapt.
Oh crap.
After
Okay.
fleeing the
Good
crime
time
scene
to pause
at which
with
they
the
were being
commercial.
shot, some of them were injured.
So just background, guys. This
I
guy said,
made my way down to the first level. I had been upstairs working.
Okay, Xander, did you want me to pause?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, go ahead.
and he's been in the non-truth space for a while, since like 2008. Always kind of pushing some alternative narrative. Oh, yeah, says he had been in the and now I guess in 2017 is working as security for Mandalay Bay. I don't know. That's all I know at this point.
Okay,
Hey,
so
Wait a
Xander,
minute,
could you
say
repeat
that
everything
again?
you just said? Because everything was jumbled.
Okay, audio clear.
Yep.
Okay, the speaker Aiden, he
Yep.
has a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering, and
I went to his LinkedIn, yeah.
right, and he was in the 9/11 truth space for about 10 years prior to, I guess, working or claiming to work at the MGM in security there.
So we're
It
not
just
even sure that
seems
he
strange
is
to me.
security at MGM.
That's kind of what I was getting at.
so this guy has
Uh-huh.
a degree in what?
Electrical engineering,
And he's a security guard at MGM.
which, yeah,
Well, he
exactly.
says some
It's a
things
little
about
strange.
MGM in here. He says some things about MGM in here that we know through our research is not true. But I kind of wondered if he was a plant of some sort, like a Hooverite, like he said.
Well, it's possible he does work there, but that's a far fall, man. Going
Although
from
some people need a second job.
yeah, but going from electrical engineer to a security guard at one of these places, I mean, he's on the level of Jesus Campos.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay.
All right, so
Plus, he
that's
should make a lot of money doing what he's doing if that is really his job, the electrical stuff.
if he was
That
like
he wouldn't
Shuck,
need a second job.
if he was on Shuck's level, I could see, but he's on Campos's level, and Campos, I mean, how everyone feels about him. Anyway, go ahead, keep playing.
All right,
guy's
I'm going to
annoying.
hit play again. This guy is annoying, but I do think that he's some type of a plant.
Working, thinking this might be something I need to keep an eye on for my own safety and for the performance of my job. I found myself on the sidewalk at Tropicana Avenue, at which time a number of people came running from these fire exits, telling me that they were trying to escape what was, they thought, a gunman in the casino. I tried to then lead them down the sidewalk to the Las Vegas Boulevard corner at Tropicana, at which time my surveillance operator came on and identified what was said to be an active shooter suspect at the escalators outdoors at the corner. At this time, I'm then realizing I may be surrounded by what are seeming to be active shooters in both directions. I decided to lead a group of people back the way I came into the building, planning to let them out the north side of it and to clear the scene for their safety. And having done so, I found myself out behind the back of the building, at which point I noticed a pair of headlights on this little traveled road, mostly a service road for employee activities and so forth. And this car was driving very slowly. It eventually got to my location about 2 or 3 car lengths from me, slowly performed a half U-turn. The window came down. A hand from inside the car with holding a portable siren, then placed this portable siren onto the roof of the car. At this time, so almost simultaneously, I noticed on the sidewalk to my right, a pair of subjects clad in all black shoes, pants, t-shirt.
Okay, he watched my channel because I was very firm on the men in black. I think I did like 5 videos on them.
It's backpacks, ball caps on backwards, double timing, almost like they were in synchronized footsteps with one another. Paramilitary in appearance and with their heads down. And in hindsight, the slow speed of the car led me to believe that those subjects were either being surveilled or escorted by this unmarked law enforcement vehicle. For some reason, at that point, I just decided to clear the scene. I don't know why. Maybe a sixth sense, suspecting trouble. It was only then, a few minutes later, that I realized I probably saw something I wasn't supposed to see, or saw something that I should report. I almost called my
Hold up.
dispatcher to.
So he just answered his own fucking question, right? He said there were 5 people dressed in all black that were being surveilled by law enforcement. That means chances are these people are fucking law enforcement. What
remember the one thing that we thought was shooters that ended up being the helicopter with the SWAT guys or cops that landed in the Harley Davidson parking lot.
Yeah.
And when that footage first came out, we were all like, oh, there they are. And then it came out that they were officers.
Yeah. Yeah. So this guy
Not
sees
saying
a
these
bunch of
guys are officers, because I will tell you there's at least 10 or more witness reports when you go through all the witness reports that we got of people leaving the concert describing these men in black. I mean, this was like a lot.
Well,
before we get
okay,
too much further, let's just back up for a moment, because before he said he went into that alley where he saw 2 men walking, running, whatever, he said that he was hearing shots from one area, and then, like, I guess it went over that way. Is that right? And then shots from another area, and then went over that way, and then his radio dispatch told him to. Can you guys kind of break down what do you think he's actually saying there? He's saying that he's hearing shots in 2 different locations in his own fucking hotel.
No, he's not at his hotel. He's over at the Tropicana.
No, he's on Tropicana Boulevard. It goes through between both hotels.
Right.
Okay, so he's outside. So he's outside and he's on Tropicana, but he's hearing shots from 2 different areas, right? And then he's saying that he doesn't report it. He's not reporting it to anybody.
I thought that was odd for a security guard.
Well, the whole thing is weird, right? Because
he's not even radioing it in. It's weird.
It's a big fucking property, right? It's not a small fucking property. So what this guy is saying is throughout the process of this event, he was, it's possible he was a security guard for the front door, right? Because they have security.
We know if he was on duty that night. Has he mentioned that?
Well, let's say he was, because I think that's what he's alluding to.
Out on a smoke break?
They have a security guard that sits at the front entrance, making sure that some of the undesirables don't get inside the casino. So, and I've been there, seen that. And so, at all the entrances, you do have security guards. He could have been one of the guys doing that. And he could have went out into the Tropicana and checked to see what the fuck was going on, ran into a bunch of people. But he's saying he's escorting these people in different directions. I don't think, that's hard to believe. But then for some fucking reason, this guy leaves his post, because I don't think his job was just to randomly walk around the casino. and goes to the north side into a fucking alleyway for some weird ass fucking reason, into a loading dock area, and sees what he's seeing here, right? Which is he's admitting as law enforcement. At least he's admitting that the people in the car were law enforcement.
Discerning light those ninjas in the chat. This guy say ninjas.
Yeah, so I don't buy a lot of what this guy's saying. It just sounds like he's full of shit. But hey, go ahead.
Hit it again?
Yeah.
He is full of shit. But okay, I think it's still funny to watch it. It's interesting. It's something that just came out a couple weeks ago.
I advised him of what I had seen, but I didn't. But it was a memorable evening for that and other reasons, of course.
Memorable evening for that and other reasons. How can this not be like the most memorable evening of his life?
Well, he does
down
go
in
into
the
a little
action
more.
of it.
Because I take it back. I think I watched this whole damn thing. He goes into seeing something else too. I forget what it was. But
two individuals that you saw on the street. Who do you think they were? Do you think that they were part of the shooting? They were participating in the shooting, or these were members of the police? These were SWAT team members or something like that.
Well, they matched in clothing description and appearance the report of the active shooter suspect that I mentioned earlier that I heard across my radio traffic.
What the fuck?
From my surveillance operator just
Are you
5
fucking
or
kidding
10
me?
minutes earlier. These subjects.
Wait a minute, what?
Kathy, pause. Yeah, let's break this down.
What the no, dude? Nobody fucking called you on the radio and said the suspect looks like this.
This guy's
Nobody
totally
did
full
that.
of crap.
Nobody did that. That did not happen. What he said was just what he said right there.
Wait
was
a minute,
lie.
I'm going to back him up a second in case anyone didn't catch what exactly you're talking about. Here we go.
In clothing description and appearance, the report of the active shooter suspect that I mentioned earlier that I heard across my radio traffic from my surveillance operator just 5 or 10 minutes earlier.
Is that it?
I like what this dude just said in chat, dude. With all the info we've gathered on this in the years, we would come up with a better story than this. Exactly, dude. This guy's story isn't even good.
It's not even good. So, but what he's saying is MGM security officer relayed over the radio that they were looking for, and then he goes on to describe him, a Hispanic or a Middle Eastern man. I think it's total BS. But when I was watching this guy's video, I'd kind of teed up from the beginning that he was going to implicate Saudis. That's knowing his background. That's what I saw coming. And sure enough, he does break that out in a few minutes. But yeah, it's really bizarre. Nobody
That's
was
what I was
declaring
talking about earlier, where it's almost like he went and watched a whole bunch of our YouTube videos, not mine, but I mean everybody's collectively.
Hoover's.
Yeah,
He's a Hoover guy.
no, because Hoover didn't talk about a lot of the stuff we did. But he's mentioning, like I said, I did a bunch of Men in Black videos back in the day. Everybody was doing them. So it's almost like he's going through making up his narrative based on stuff he picked up from YouTube.
Well, that or if you thought of it, he could have thought of it too. So it's like, but a lot of this is if he's going to go the Saudi route, then yeah, he's a fucking Hoover plan.
Yeah, he goes in a minute. Here, I'm going to turn it back on. Just tell me when to stop, guys.
Yeah. Real fast, do we have other MGM? Sorry to interrupt. Do we have other MGM security whistleblowers or witnesses that have talked to us, our community, about what they did and didn't hear over the radio?
Not
necessarily over the radio, but there was a report. There was an employee at MGM that was out for a smoke break on that the escalator area. And he reported, hearing the shots and thinking, there was another shooter, but we know, how that turned out. And also, this guy's going to say in a few minutes about, I don't know, he might have already said it, about how surprised he was that MGM didn't come in and give, a talk and explain things to them. And it's like, there is a whole bunch of information out there about employees that work at these other casinos, and it's like they most certainly got to talk to shut up or they weren't going to have their job.
Well, apparently they did tell him, right? Because they told him over the radio who the suspect was.
Right.
All right, I'm heading away again.
same direction that would have placed them at the location where they were reported by our surveillance operator. So I believe that they may have probably have been the subject that was reported by my surveillance operator on the radio at that time. They were, like, as I said, paramilitary in appearance. I didn't see any weapons, but they were very young looking too. They were either Hispanic or Middle Eastern, and they were definitely, almost certainly, under surveillance or escort by this vehicle. And the vehicle never attempted to make contact with these subjects as they came by my position. And I wonder why, because there was nothing happening back there, I wonder why this vehicle and the driver of it were performing a U-turn in the middle of the street and placing a siren onto the roof. I thought perhaps that was for my consumption. For some reason, they
Wouldn't a siren on the roof automatically let him think or know that it was law enforcement?
I guess. I don't know, man. I mean, I know when I was young, man, we had one of those little speakers and we could talk shit to the girls as we were driving by them.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You know.
What,
And
did you guys go out all dressed in black?
did he say? Well, yeah, we always dress in black, dude. It's California.
So you
But
didn't get caught?
but did he say that they had guns? Did he say they had weapons?
He didn't mention it that I heard.
Okay, so you got a couple people dressed in all black, dude. You have a goth fucking convention in fucking.
He
Vegas,
said that
right?
he didn't see any weapons.
Okay, he didn't see any weapons, right? So you got a bunch of goths walking around in front of some dudes with a siren on their car. Who cares?
he saw me, didn't want me there, or some other reason.
Fuck, I don't want you there.
Is there video footage of this car doing a U-turn with a siren on top?
I believe, I don't know, I'm not familiar with all of the camera positions outdoors at the property, but I would guess probably it may not have been the most.
If he's security, shouldn't he know about where all the cameras are on the property?
Yeah, he was just talking about a surveillance officer and stuff. Sounded like, he knew something about which the surveillance officer would be the guy that gets paid to sit in the room and watch people.
Got the
cheat on people.
videos lagged or stopped.
No, she stopped.
The best
There we go.
view, but we had thousands of cameras on that property, inside and out. If I would have called my surveillance operator at that time, he certainly could have zoomed in on my location. It was very accessible and visible. And they're very good at finding people when they need to.
Did you know you could remodel your kitchen faster and for a
shit.
lot less than at the big box stores? At Cabinets to Go, custom.
Sorry about that.
So
It's not your problem.
the official story, because you have another big piece of this story that you uncovered after the fact.
That he uncovered. Wait till you hear this, guys.
Yeah, Saudi helicopters.
No, he's going to claim Hunter's work.
Oh, okay.
Because you
Oh,
had
the
access
lock
to
area, yeah.
certain security features of doors, people going in and out of doors.
Because he had access. Not like they released this to us and we all got it.
Well, yeah, this might be a nut job that's running around in the comments of.
Yeah, he's acting like, oh, he had access because he was security. And it's like, we had access and we're just regular people.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I remember this interview. Yeah, go ahead.
And security locks. And because it's a sister property, I wanted you to share that with us here in a second. But before we get there, what is the official story that they're still standing by? What is the official story that they're still telling us happened that night?
That the accused shooter, Stephen Paddock, acted alone and appeared to have no assistance in doing what he was accused of.
Orale.
And where did this guy, Stephen Paddock, come from?
I believe he was a Nevada resident, not too far from out of the city, and had been at the hotel for about a week, as memory serves.
And do we know anything about his motive, his motivation? I'm talking about the official line, what they're telling us to believe about this
Right.
story.
Apparently, they have no motive except that he may have been frustrated with the hotel for having lost a large sum of money while gaming on property. He was apparently an avid video poker player.
So that's the official story. This guy acted alone. He carried out this horrific incident.
Hey, and
But
you don't know Paddock,
many
even though
eyewitnesses
everybody else in Vegas
and
does.
multiple reports say that story is hogwash.
Say what?
So he doesn't know Paddock, even though everybody else in Vegas seems to.
Right.
He's a high roller in all these casinos, yet this dipshit has no fucking clue who he is.
Especially, yeah, being that he's
And even in
security at
hindsight,
MGM.
right? Even in hindsight, this guy doesn't seem to really have a lot of information on Paddock, right? You know, he says, "Oh, well, he was." I mean, anybody within this can tell you, yeah, Babbling Brook. You know, he lived on Babbling. You may not know the numbers, but you know it's Babbling Brook and Mesquite, right? You know that's where he was living. And you know, this dumbass doesn't even have that tertiary information. He's just saying he lives somewhere in Nevada.
Well,
So-
the thing too that I'm thinking of him being security at another casino, being that Paddock did a lawsuit against Cosmopolitan for a fake slip and fall, would you think all of the casinos, since he was a high roller, would have, you know, been like, hey, watch for this guy?
I don't know about that, but I mean, you know, they all seem to know who the fuck he was. I guess security guard, maybe not, because he's not.
I would think anyone that lived in Vegas would know. I mean, even my mom and her little old lady friends drove to Mesquite and Reno both to drive by his houses and different places that were mentioned. She used to follow the Facebook groups we were in. She'd always be like, oh, me and my girlfriends are going to go make a trip. Do you want us to look for anything? So, I mean, these are like two old ladies that live in Bullhead City, Arizona. So, I mean, they're 80 miles away from Vegas, and they know where he lives. But this guy knows nothing, and he works at a casino. But
Well, it's like
in the same family of casinos.
I mean, you know, all the hosts know who he is. Steve Wynn knew who he was, you know, and he owns that damn casino. All the guys in the valet said that, yeah, he was, you know, kind of a regular, at least if I remember right from the reports. And I mean, a lot of people knew who the fuck this guy was. Now, this guy, maybe he's legit. Maybe he didn't know who Stephen Paddock was at the time, but this guy's reporting on old information from 7 years ago.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's so long ago, and it's like if this guy really investigated, like he's acting to this guy like he's a big shot, he would know this information.
Exactly. Yeah, he'd at least know the surface level of this guy lived in Mesquite. This guy, you know, like I said, I can remember Babbling Brook, no problem. I mean, yeah, you know, he had a place in Reno. We all know that. We all know he had a place in Mesquite. I don't know why this guy has to say.
We all know he had a building he lived in with Paladin.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, that was a long time ago. But anyway, go ahead.
Wash. We've done a deep dive on the inconsistencies on the photos that were taken in the room of his body. You can go seek out that video and that.
That's the interview Xander did with this guy. Did you guys all see that?
What? No.
Xander did a video on this same show with this guy and talked about the inconsistencies with the body and the pictures and stuff.
Oh, redacted?
Yeah, the redacted guy's telling this guy about this other interview he did, but it was an interview with Xander.
Oh, I didn't see that.
We probably didn't show it to you because we all believe it was Stephen Paddock on the floor, and you do.
What? I didn't see
yes, you know.
You guys hiding shit from me?
Yes, we do. Well, we don't want to start arguments and fights, you know. I'll send you a link to
it. All right, yeah, you're gonna have to.
Interview. So there's a lot of holes in this story, but then you uncovered something that I don't think has ever been reported before, which
this pisses me off that he uncovered this.
Has to do with the security, the locking mechanisms for these doors. Can you walk us through what you uncovered?
Yes, in the report that was generated by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, with some help of the FBI, I also believe, there's a section that contains an electronic door lock interrogation stream of data. And we find that when viewing those pages, we can see the number of times that electronic door lock room keys were used to enter and exit the room at various times during his stay. These systems can also record doorknob activities. For example, if somebody opens the door from inside, it will record that as well, the time that it occurred. etc. So yeah, these systems are pretty thorough in what they can cover. And upon viewing the 2 door lock systems attributed to this guest, Stephen Paddock, which it was at the time, 32134, 32135, we find at 9:30 p.m. or so thereabouts, there's a flurry of door lock activity on both doors, being opened from the inside, being opened from the outside with room keys, other attempts to enter by room key that failed, etc. We find then at some point at 9:31, both doors are locked. We find then at 9:32, there's a failed entry with a room key into the accused shooter's room at 135. A minute later at 9:33, somebody from the inside opens the door using the doorknob. So at that point in time, we can realize that there was a subject in the hallway and also inside the room. And this conflicts with the official account that no one was at the room assisting the accused. No one was in contact with the accused just prior to the event. This information appears to conflict with that, because we can establish that there are 2 subjects at the door of the room at 9.
Okay, yeah.
So how confused you think this squirrely motherfucker would be if you asked him about 134, right? Because we know it's not true, right? We know this is total bullshit by what Hunter pulled up, but if you asked him right now, right here, right now, hey man, he had another room, and they were joining, like, how couldn't he? Why couldn't he be?
I think this guy was handed a script, not necessarily by this show from the interviewer, but just whatever job he's doing.
And then only a few minutes later,
whoops.
Hey, Kathy, pause the video. Knowing Clayton definitely wasn't a script from him.
No. I know not from him. I'm just saying if this guy's doing some kind of Hoover narrative job, he's following along this script. So if you asked him on the side, what about 134, he would have no clue what you were talking about.
Exactly.
I agree. Can we real fast? Can we point out a couple of the things that we know are BS related to who did you say, Hunter, or what? Couple things on the security logs that are already wrong.
Hunter did all the work on the security logs. Unfortunately, he passed away before he finished all the work. But he was deep into this. I mean, full time, every day doing this security lock stuff. So it bothers me that this guy's jumping in here acting like he made this discovery and was privy to this information other people didn't have and stuff, just because to me it's a slap in the face to Hunter.
What he's saying is actually technically true. And I believe 9:33 on the night of the event, there was an opening from inside the door when Paddock supposedly didn't have the correct key cards. And I believe door 134 was dead bolted. Like I said, it would just be interesting to ask a person that question, because it'd probably confuse the shit out of this guy. But
I'd love to talk to this guy.
Yeah, because I don't think he knows what the fuck he's talking about. But, and he probably did, he's probably going off, Hunter's research or whatever. But, but basically the way that worked out is Paddock's in the hallway. He's scanning cards for 135 that are actually cards for 134, but they're not working because they're for 134. He scans it on 134. It's not working either because he's got the damn deadbolt lock. So effectively, he locked himself out of the room. Then all of a sudden, the room is open from the inside on 135, and that causes a problem with saying that he was alone.
Yes.
Okay. Understood. And with certainty that it's Paddock trying those locks, because we don't have camera footage of that, but somebody was trying to get in from the outside at that time.
Yeah. You could also argue that Paddock was the one inside the room and somebody else is outside the room too. It's just it points to the fact that there was most likely 2 people up there at 9:33 at night.
Katie, Laura, and Joanne. Come on, guys.
Oh, God. Not that.
Who else needed the vibrator?
Not that.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, I think there's that Comrade Chimp guy. I think he was trying to track those people down too, but I don't know.
Oh, I tracked him down. I'll have to let him know. I have to get into the Discord.
Yeah, you should. Anyways, go ahead. Play this thing. Let's get through it. This torture.
Did he then again finally close the door for the last time before committing his crime, allegedly?
So that door lock information leads you to believe that there were two shooters or two individuals in the room? We don't know about two shooters, but two individuals inside the room at the time?
Yes, we can deduce that there's two subjects, at least one of them probably being the accused, and another being some other unknown other subject. Again, to my knowledge, there is no account that puts another person at the room officially, except the accused.
Is there? I know there's cameras everywhere at these hotels. Have you been able to cross-reference the time signatures of the door locking mechanism with overhead camera footage?
To my knowledge, there were no hallway cameras at the hotel. There were no cameras in the hallways that covered events in the hallways. Unlike MGM at the time, which did happen to, by the way, have hallway cameras. I think we were then one of the very few hotels that actually did have cameras in the guest hallway rooming areas. I think the guest elevators of the Mandalay Bay did, however, contain security cameras. So if someone were to have gotten off that floor by elevator, they certainly would have had to show up on camera.
Trying
So
to
you
find
work
the
there.
best way to pay off
Oh,
debt?
here we go.
You
Your
work
home
for
equity
MGM.
can help. And it might be easy
And you have
to
no
tap.
fucking clue if they have cameras in the Mandalay Bay? You're a security
So
guard
it
next door and you have no
completely-
fucking clue if they
It
have
throws
cameras
a
in the
wrench in their
Mandalay Bay.
narrative that there was.
How do you not fucking know that? How do you not fucking talk to the guy across the street who works for the same fucking company that you do and say, hey, bro, are there cameras up there? How do you not have any fucking information?
I
past
gotta think.
what has been
MGM had told us it was their policy for privacy reasons of their guests not to have hallway cameras. So
Yeah.
how can another hotel that's run by them have cameras in the hallway?
Who knows?
It doesn't
Who knows?
make sense to me.
Maybe
Someone
because
needs to go to
MGM's a little bit of
MGM
a
and find out
higher,
if they do.
maybe because MGM's a little bit a higher class property. Maybe they felt that they didn't want to get the video camera of the hookers walking into rooms.
You
but
still don't want a hooker being filmed go into your room, though, no matter which place you're at. That was their whole reason for why they didn't have hallway cameras.
yeah, I know, but MGM, the MGM itself is an older hotel. It's a little more low budget, so maybe they just didn't care. I don't know. I don't care about that. All I care about is this motherfucker is a security guard across
He's a
the
liar.
street, working for the same company, working with the same people, basically, that work in the MGM or that work in the Mandalay Bay. You would think if this guy was actually interested in the bullshit that he's spitting right now, that he would actually went across the street and talk to people and ask them, hey, what do you guys think? What do you guys? This guy would have this fucking nailed down harder than any of us have because he has more inside information than any of us have. But he has
You should be able to have contacts. Yeah. Matt, you got to speak up. What are you thinking? Matt might be outside. Oh, yeah. You haven't chimed in here on your thoughts.
Well, yeah, I think this guy's full of shit, but
He looks like a meth addict.
obviously he doesn't. I mean, if this guy did work at MGM, he should have known all that stuff already.
He looks like the eraser end of a pencil.
Yeah.
I'm saying meth
whatever.
head or maybe cancer patient. Those are the only two reasons you'd be caved in like this guy is.
Or Holocaust.
Well, he didn't have hair then. I mean, you saw the picture of his ID. I don't know if he still works at the place, but
shit, that picture was taken like 2 days before this interview.
It's a fake ID.
That's actually.
I bet if we go to MGM and
it doesn't look 7 years old.
if we went to MGM and asked, their head of security if this guy works for him, he'd probably be like, no, that's not even our badge.
You could figure out if this guy has a guard card in Nevada.
Oh yeah, you can just look that up, can't you?
That's
You wouldn't even have to go to the MGM.
You should be able to, yeah. But Campos didn't have one either, so that would be the argument. But this guy,
Can somebody with more time than me do that?
Yeah. Let's have LVSA see because he lives there.
no, you can do it. It's online, I think. I don't
is it
remember.
online?
I think that was something Lady Justice was into. She was doing a lot of that.
Finding out about the guard card.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember back in the day we were all talking about, well, do you have to have one or not? Because back then we were thinking Campos wasn't really an employee of MGM. and that he was a plant because he didn't have a card. And then we found out they don't all have to have a card.
Yeah, there was something funny about that, but
that doesn't make
That
any
was
sense
way
to
in
me.
the early days.
This is Vegas. I mean, everybody should have, everybody's got to have a.
I think he needs a guard card, and Campos was a plant.
For maybe, I don't know.
No one else thinks Campos was maybe a plant.
I think
To
he
help
was in
push
on the
their
op
narrative.
and knocked the
To help
windows out.
push,
but
to help
there you
push
go.
their narrative. It's like they needed him, and now they've got him. They're spending all this money on him to keep him quiet.
I think if you had,
Well,
if you
because
were
he
trying
fucked
to,
up on that interview.
Yeah,
I think
Or
if you were
not in the
trying-
interview, but in the when he was interviewed by the detectives several days later, when he said that he didn't see the cart in the hallway.
Well, that's why they had
that's what
Shuck
fucked
being
him
his
up.
handler on Ellen, so that he didn't screw up again.
Right, but he said that he didn't see the cart in the hallway. That's what scared them. They're like, oh
Yeah.
shit, he's
They need to keep him
he's
quiet.
fucking up the narrative.
Yes.
So that's
Whatever they
that's why
didn't
they kept
want
him
us
quiet,
to
because he was
know,
supposed to do all those interviews. He was supposed to do all those interviews on that Thursday, and they all got yanked.
That's right. Wasn't there 5 of them that got
Interviewing
canceled?
with all the networks. I don't know how many there were, but all
There were
but
5,
every,
and then the only
interview
place
that
he was
supposed
allowed to
do
go
on
was Ellen.
Thursday.
And they
well,
let him
but
go on
but
Ellen because she's
it
got.
was all supposed to happen on a Thursday,
I remember.
and those got yanked because they the police interviewed him on a Wednesday afternoon.
And Ellen
at the
has
hotel.
slot machines at MGM, and I think they thought she'd be a safe place for him to go interview.
Well, I think if you were going to have a dumb shit that was going to be your spokesperson, you would not take Jesus Campos. Hey, so what's this guy's name again?
Aiden
Monahan.
You gonna look him up? They show his badge at the beginning. If you want to, like later on, rewind this.
And there's the number on there too.
Yeah, but that would be his work number. Let's see, not finding it there. Anyways, you guys go ahead. I'm gonna.
All right, I'm hitting play.
One person in that room at the time. Who do you think this other person was? Have you been able to pull any other data that leads you to believe one way or the other that this person was involved in the shooting, or maybe involved in the placement of a body in this room?
Oh, geez, it was Laura.
I really can't infer anything from it other than there was another subject at the door just prior to the shooting, about 30 minutes prior. Someone in the hallway, someone in the room. I don't know if it was Paddock in the hallway, the accused, or vice versa, but there were certainly 2 subjects, and there's no way that this data can read as it does without there being.
He says certainly 2 suspects or subjects. Like, how does he know certainly?
He's talking about the fit report. So he's just talking about the fit report. That's all he's got going.
Yeah, he was talking about lock interrogation, but he was like certainly, like.
Well, yeah, lock interrogation. Yeah,
fit
that's
report
what
didn't say certainly there was 2 people. Yeah.
No, but we can
He's
infer
just
that
being
from that
definite
data.
was what
At
my
least
point
2,
was. Yeah.
right?
2 subjects manipulating the data.
I want to talk also about something else you uncovered, which is the doctor.
And he did not uncover this. This was common knowledge, just so you all know.
The accused shooter's doctor. So Stephen Paddock's doctor. Can you talk about this weird nugget of information? I don't think I've seen this reported anywhere else also.
Yes, allegedly prior to the event, the accused had under cash retainer a doctor by the name of Stephen P. Winkler of the local vicinity, I think Henderson, PA, just outside Vegas, for the purpose of obtaining Valium prescriptions, the kind of Valium that was made famous during the MK Ultra days, in order to facilitate mind control, hypnosis, sessions, among other things. But yeah, this doctor, Dr. Winkler, just happens to be the leader of what is known as a disaster medical assistance team. All 50 states have these, and they work under the direction of the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Defense. And they are deployed during disaster situations in order to assist and the area of medical assistance. They are referred to as disaster medical assistance team.
See, the doctor on retainer and the medication, I remember clear as day, but for some reason my memory is not pinging on what he's talking about here about this doctor's job. Does anyone else remember that?
You're talking about the Dr. Paddock had?
Paddock had a doctor on retainer. That was who he got his medicine from. It was
His
in the
benzo
fit
or
report.
whatever?
Yeah, his benzos. So I remember that clear as day. I believe it was in a fit report or something that they released to us. So we all knew that. But when he's going on to talk about this doctor working for Homeland Security, my memory is not recalling that. And to me, it seems like the way I think, I would have jumped on that if this guy was Homeland Security. So I'm just wondering, does anyone else remember that?
Not really. No, I mean, I don't remember ever hearing the Homeland Security thing. I think he made that up.
Does anyone else remember it? Someone's typing.
That's me.
Oh, all right. All right, I'm going to hit play if no one else remembers that. I just think that if the doctor worked for Homeland Security, I would have eaten that up and jumped on it big time on YouTube, and I didn't. The doctor?
No, I can't find this guy with the
Aiden?
Yeah.
Well,
And you're
I
looking on
typed
the
his
registry
name
of
in
security guards?
Google.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
typed his name in Google, and all I could find was his LinkedIn account. I didn't go to any MGM sites, though. We could take that screenshot to MGM and have somebody scan it for us, the barcode.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd find someone to do that. Anyways, go ahead and play it.
Teams, hence.
What do you infer from that?
I thought it was an unusual coincidence given that someone like Paddock could have a doctor who, among all of the thousands in the state of Nevada, just happened to be, as a second job, working for the Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security. I thought that was an unusual coincidence. And this doctor...
And that he also is involved in this, like, how did you describe it? Like not mass casualty, but what was his position or his specialty?
The doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah, his position was head of the state of Nevada's disaster medical assistance team.
Disaster medical assistance team. So like a mass casualty event?
Hi, I'm Brett. And I'm Jonathan.
Here we go again. Skip.
The coincidences, again, they're just they give you pause, certainly.
Is there anything else you've uncovered? Because this is there three
no,
big bombshells?
I like how he keeps acting like he uncovered stuff in their bombshells. It's like this guy's about 7.5 years late on finding this stuff, you know?
These are things, these are what I have so far. And obviously I was intensively interested in the aftermath and to this day as to what happened because I experienced what I did. But yeah, these are things that are not remembered or even covered by the media, and they should be. And I think Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and the FBI need to step forward and explain to us why this door lock interrogation data does seem to place another person at the crime scene when they told us that there was not.
Right. Yeah, it's really shocking. I mean, Aiden, what do you think? I mean, I'm sure you've spoken then to your other security staff members your supervisors, other people on the security staff, both at the sister hotel where you worked at MGM and Mandalay Bay. What do they think? Have they brought any bizarre inconsistencies to you? What do they think happened that night? Did they buy the main story that it was just Stephen Paddock, one shooter?
I don't think I recall engaging any other coworkers about the subject too much after the event. We were just, I guess, like everyone else, just sort of in a state of shock and ongoing state of shock in the aftermath. And we were never really engaged officially by management as to what happened, which I thought was unusual. Normally, in the aftermath of big events, occasionally management would be known to engage us and congratulate us and thank us for our hard work and so on. But in the aftermath of this event, there was no such thing. And our property, as I said, was directly affected by this because in the immediate aftermath of the shooting, hundreds of people ran onto our property, many of them injured. Our main lobby was transformed into a triage for a short time that evening to tend to these injured people. And we were on the lookout for these people because there were phone calls and reports coming in of bleeding subjects on our property appearing to need help. And we set out, some of us, looking for them. I think some cases did and others didn't.
Wait a minute. He's talking about setting out looking for the injured people, but wasn't he at the beginning of the interview talking about how he was hanging out watching the Siren, Men in Black, all of that
he was
stuff?
all over that night.
But now all of a sudden he's, doing this other business. I just noticed that.
I'm really struggling to believe that he didn't talk to any other of his coworkers, if he had coworkers,
Oh,
management, or
yeah, he
anybody
had the
else about this
inline
event.
to talk to security, and his security boss could have asked questions and got them information because they're sister hotels. And he just doesn't seem, I don't think he's an employee there. Or he's not security, because he would have definitely had the inside loop. Can you imagine if you were security at MGM, how easy you would have been trying to dig stuff? Have your boss
Yeah, and
go
I'd want to know
check.
what
And
other people saw and observed. I mean, this is like
yeah,
a huge event in your, like, you would be talking about it every day, but
yeah.
yet he's feigning as though it wasn't discussed after the event. It's
Well,
very
yeah,
strange.
because we've got valet employees that were like talking about it, giving interviews and stuff. So yeah, I don't think he worked there at all. He's just trying to be like, wants to be important, so he made a fake badge. How well does that, the man that does the redacted, since you know him, Xander, how well does he vet his guests? Do you know?
I don't know with certainty how he's where he's getting all of his guests from. So I just don't know. I'm sure somebody referred this
Okay.
guy to him.
So it's not like there was a big application process and they did a background check on you or anything like that.
Honestly, I couldn't comment. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a referral, but I don't know how anybody else gets on
Oh,
it.
okay. All right. I'm hitting play again, unless anyone else wants to talk. Here we go.
Didn't find them.
And I don't want you to get in the realm of speculation, but you've been very close to this for a number of years. What do you think the motivation was for this shooting and to have this sort of cover up that I think we can all agree there is a cover up here? How large it is, we don't know, but there is something very wrong with this official story. Why do you think they created this story? Why do you think this happened?
I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. I've heard rumors of Saudi involvement.
And here enters Hoover.
And there were Saudis in town that week for training at Nellis Air Force Base, and the links to Saudis of the properties involved, Mandalay Bay and so on. But beyond that, I really can't say with certainty what could have been behind all of this. I really don't know. It's a puzzle.
For sure. Well, thank you for giving us a few pieces of this puzzle. I mean, these are some big pieces. These two bizarre subjects. Maybe someone can locate who these individuals were, speed walking as quickly as they could in sort of paramilitary gear. the locking mechanism data that puts another person in this room, in addition to the doctor information, who just happens to work for the Department of Homeland Security and Department of Defense in a massive mass casualty event specialty. Like that's his specialty. It's all very, very strange.
Exactly.
Well, Aiden, I appreciate you. What do you hope we'll hear from these members of Congress pushing President Trump for the release of this? What are you hoping to learn from these file releases?
As far as the JFK and Epstein files?
Members of Congress, as I mentioned in the beginning, have been pushing one answer. Is Thomas Massey, specifically, Congressman Massey of Kentucky, asked for the files to be released on the Vegas shooting. So,
I wasn't aware of this. That would be interesting. Yeah. I would like to see a lot of the video. Apparently, that they probably appear to have sequestered.
Hang on a second. Matt, can you put the link to the StreamYards in the chat for Angela? I sent her the links and she just texted me back and said the links didn't work. So I think her garage sale's over and she's trying to get in.
Okay.
And I can't go there because I'm screen sharing and it'll show that screen. Thanks.
As I said, there were believed to be shootings on our property and other shootings as far north as a mile up the strip in the aftermath immediately of the shooting, as far as Bellagio. And there were actually police video microphones that were picking up automatic gunfire sounds. And these have even found their way onto YouTube, some of these. So yeah, there's so much to be revealed. And I think they are sitting on things, the FBI, certainly in the way of video, certainly, and maybe other information.
Yeah, I hope we get the answers. Aiden Monahan, thank you so much for this. Fascinating. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you. And good to see you again.
Great to see you.
Excuse me. Have you heard of this company?
All right, I put it in there.
Okay, I'm going to text Angela and tell her it's in there. Did she show up yet?
Not that I can see.
Hang on 1 second.
You want to hear?
Typing here in my text. Go ahead.
You want to hear an interview of some dude glazing the shit out of Hoover on the Julian Dory podcast?
Oh, someone's attacking Hoover? Yes, we'd love to see that.
No, he's glazing him. It means the opposite of attacking.
Oh, he's sticking up for him?
Oh yeah, well he's claiming that Hoover is the number one in the Las Vegas.
Oh, I want to hear that. Can you pull it up, or is it hard to find?
No.
Yeah, they really are moving hard on this Hoover narrative. I think this guy is part of it. You know, Hoover entered the chat at the end there with, "Oh well, there were Saudis in the area." It seems to me that the whole thing's
he kind of threw
intelligence-driven.
that in at the end.
He did, and I think that's the thrust behind this interview. It's definitely a machine. You know, any of the Vegas videos that go up, they're going to be in there driving it.
Yeah, that guy was full of shit. Anyway, if you want to share my screen or you want me to send you a link. Did I just freeze up?
Hang on 1 second. I'm texting Angela, and I can't do all this at once. Matt, I got another job for you. Will you send her a messenger message with the YouTube chat? She doesn't want to come on the StreamYard. She just can't find the YouTube because the link I sent her was that one we canceled.
Okay.
She can just go to the channel. Come on, Angela.
Check your messenger.
Knock that shit
I
off.
know. I can't do the texting and try to do this on the screen at the same time. Okay, I told her to check her messenger. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I need to go back to StreamYards and then hit for you to put your thing in, right?
Yeah, if you want that, or I can
Yeah,
share.
I got it. So do I hit add to stage?
I don't know. You did it before. You did it last time. I don't know how you did it. There you go.
All right, there it is.
Oh, this one. Shit. These fucking people. All right, here we go.
They had just transferred the crown prince title from Al Walid bin Talal.
All right, you can hear the voice, right? You can hear the audio.
Yep, I can hear it. Can you guys hear it?
To Mohammed bin Salman, which is a huge shift because bin Salman is like very progressive. And I don't know what fate Adnan Khashoggi met actually in the end, whether he died, an old happy death, or I don't actually remember what happened to him.
I can't remember.
But he's kind of a slightly older generation than Epstein.
Yeah, he's gone now. He had huge real estate in New York.
Died
too.
in 2017 at 81 years. Yeah, that sounds like
London.
That sounds like he won the game.
Lived out his days.
Yep.
Let's go down to death. All right. No. Oh, okay.
It doesn't even have a section on his death.
Go down. That's interesting.
Yeah, it isn't. So I assume that he died of.
He died on 6 June 2017 while being treated for Parkinson's disease in London. He was 81 years of age.
That's the thing is you can never escape God.
Yeah.
Parkinson's is a hell of a way to go too.
Not fun.
No, that's rough.
No.
Just wait for it. He's gonna tie it into Vegas as always.
But it's interesting that he was, to your point, like the guy who allegedly trained Epstein on how to do these things. It's just,
why is Amazon paying me $63,000 a month? Well, I didn't make this kind of money.
And then Epstein starts showing up at Bill Clinton's White House.
And I believe it's his cousin.
Oh yeah, Jamal Khashoggi.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I think it's his nephew.
Killed his nephew.
There's a whole other rabbit hole there. Jamal Khashoggi was portrayed as being a journalist. There is plenty of evidence you can find. Well, there is some evidence you can find out there, though it is hard to dig into, that he was actually Saudi intelligence, not just a journalist.
But he was a dissident against MBS.
Yes.
So was he So I could see that he was previous Saudi intelligence, and then MBS takes over, and he knows what's bad.
So quick Las Vegas shooting rabbit hole here. The Saudi royal family.
Get there.
See, even they're laughing about it. It's like, what the fuck, man? But yeah, okay, here we go.
The Saudi royal family is very complicated, and I am no expert, but I do know that the old school Saudi royal family is one way, very conservative, very traditional, and this is like Al Walid bin Talal is sort of the primary factor in that, and he owns the building, the hotel chain, the Four Seasons, in which
they imprisoned.
No, he doesn't. He owns a partial stake in it. So does Bill Gates, and Bill Gates was not fucking shooting people that night. Anyways,
everyone
on top
of the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, James in the chat is asking, why did the footage begin 13 minutes after the breach? So since you studied this Hancock footage, can you answer that?
Yeah, because you hear Levi in Bitsko's footage. So honestly, I expected this footage to start 30 seconds after it actually did start. As far as the Hancock footage, not what we're watching now with Julian. But basically, you hear Hancock walk up to Bitsko on the Bitsko footage, and he does it on the Hancock footage also, and he says, I forgot to turn my body cam on for all that. And,
yeah, he didn't have his body cam on originally, we were told, yeah.
And that's why we thought that there was no body camera for, Levi Hancock. It was also stated by the union rep that there was no body cam footage for Levi Hancock, but the union rep is under no he doesn't have to say the truth. It doesn't matter what he says. It will, what he says is a private citizen, doesn't fucking matter. He could lie to you all day long, doesn't fucking matter. So he may not even have known this existed. He may not have cared. So the thing is, the reason it starts where it starts is we think Levi turned his camera on at that moment, and 30 seconds later is when he walked up to Bitsko and said, I didn't even have my camera on for all that shit. So it seems like what's happening is he realized at that moment when he turned this camera on that he didn't have it on for the whole thing, and immediately after that he went and told Bitsko the same thing. Hey man, I didn't have a fucking camera on for all that shit. That's why we think he realized it a little late that he didn't have it on.
Okay, you can start your video again. I just figured you could explain it better than me.
Yeah.
Hotel the Mandalay Bay where that shooting in Las Vegas happened.
Oh, you're talking about the one in Vegas.
The Las Vegas shooting. Yes.
Okay.
So first of all, this is a false premise because again, Khashoggi or whatever, or not Khashoggi, Salman, whatever the fuck. He only owns, I forget what the percentage is of that, but I think he does own a majority percent. I think Bill Gates owns the other majority percent.
Oh,
And
Four Seasons?
Yeah, and I think there's a middleman between those that owns the other percentage of it. So, this narrative that just because somebody owns a building, they somehow was involved in, and they don't even own the building that the shooting was coming from. They own the floors above that
This
building.
was all talked about way back when, but then it got hashed out. What is the date of this podcast?
This podcast is only a couple weeks back.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is all
They all
researching.
come and talk about this stuff, but it's like this is stuff like okay, we jumped on it at the beginning, then everybody, we hashed stuff out and worked it out and then moved on to other things. And they're all acting like it's like brand new stuff, or they're continuing to push stuff that we already figured out before.
And I just want to say, look at his mug.
70s porn star?
No.
Oh, the mug on his table. What does
Anyway.
it say?
You can't read the name on that?
I'm Ron, but soon.
Oh, it's Ron Burgundy. Anyways, here we go.
Oh, wow.
No, it's not. That's not Mr. Burgundy. It's just,
I know what he looks like.
It just happened to
Funny,
be
though.
it's a
Yeah,
weird
I
thing.
didn't catch that.
Because Jamal Khashoggi got chopped up 1 year to the hour after the Las Vegas shooting. As in, if you account for the time zones, it was 1 year later to the day. But if you account for the time zones, it was like 1 year later to like the hour.
Okay,
of
what
that
does this have to do
fucking
with it,
shooting?
though?
So
exactly, what does that have to do with it?
What's his name? John. I always forget his
John
name. To try to
Hoover.
give him
Yeah,
credit because
Hoover.
he's such an autist and he's so fucking anal about having credit. Maybe it'll come to me.
He's anal about
He's
everything.
a YouTuber, and he did a lot of the digging into the Las Vegas shooting, and he's the primary source. Where he's the guy that dug a lot of the primary source stuff up about Las Vegas shooting. But pretty solid theory.
He's the guy that dug the primary source. He's the guy that is the primary source
The
for a lot
primary source.
Yeah, whatever the fuck.
The primary
The Las
source
Vegas
is
shooting,
LVSA's channel.
MBS, who is this new
Yeah, and he hates it, LVSA because a lot of LVSA.
I know, but
stuff.
he has everything
new
on
crown
there.
prince that hit, they had just transferred the crown prince title from Al Walid bin Talal to Mohammed bin Salman, which is a huge shift because bin Salman is like very progressive. And he's like throwing raves these days and like thinking women should.
Wait. That didn't
Pause a
happen
second.
until
I will say
an hour
though,
later, right?
this whole
Or a
the
year
Saudi
later.
thing, with the way that the way it unfolded, not necessarily about the shooting, but the way the chronological order of what was happening in Saudi Arabia and with these other princes and stuff, it all did kind of make sense. I'm not saying that they were involved in the shooting, but it's like I can see why everybody thought that for a while.
Well, the Arab Spring was it was after, right? So this guy's trying to say that it happened before, and I believe that it happened after. Now I don't know the exacts behind all
What's
that
Arab
Spring
Spring?
stuff. Well,
Arab
that's
Spring was
where
earlier. That was like 2014. That was a different
was
event.
2014. Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought it was later. I thought it
Yeah,
was after.
in Egypt, yeah, it was earlier.
Oh, okay. So, or no, was the Arab Spring? When was it that MBS took over?
That
Wasn't that
was after that. It was like
2018?
November. It was November when they
That was
rallied
a
up
month
all of
after the
the
shooting.
other
okay.
princes or whatever, right?
Yeah, they all got rallied up into the Ritz-Carlton and tortured. That was
Yeah.
like right after the shooting.
That's how they do shit.
That was
You know?
Trump's first stop, I think, after the shooting was to go over there.
Yeah.
To
So
meet the new
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about all these ties, man. You're stringing things along at this point, but we'll see.
To be able to wear what they want and like all this other fucking not traditional shit. That is not cool with the old guard in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
They are not down. And Al Walid bin Talal invites Mohammed bin Salman to the Four Seasons.
That's bullshit, and that can never be proven. So this guy's just lying right now.
Or that like come because it's Passover is the Jewish holiday, and there's a parallel holiday that I forget the name of.
Okay.
And so because Bin Talal owns the Four Seasons and he's got this great suite on top of this fucking hotel there.
So does Bill Gates.
He invites Bin Salman there, MBS there, and this whole shooting thing happened.
There's absolutely no proof of that whatsoever.
But it was all coincidental. I mean, it does fall in place.
Yeah, but there was some random dude in fucking Africa that died fucking 2 days after the event that had one of the same fucking AR-15 models that fucking seemed.
Maybe he was in the other room.
You can tie it all kinds of. You can tie it all kinds of dumb shit to this. It's unless you got proof, there's no proof.
But we're never gonna have proof.
Let's just say a lot of fucking.
Well, I wouldn't say never. I mean, it's
maybe
been coming.
Years.
You know, I mean,
yeah, it does come slow, but it is slowly coming, I guess. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Weird shit going on there. And
wait, he's in. Am I totally not
in Las
this?
Vegas?
He's in Las Vegas when the shooting's going down.
Yeah, MBS is in Las Vegas.
There's no
in
proof
the Four
of that.
Seasons when the.
There's no proof of that, and this is how easy it is for stuff like this to spread.
No, because
Vegas
there's.
shooting.
I don't think that's even
trying to figure
accurate.
that out.
Because this is a big podcast. This Julian Dory's got millions of subs, man. He's
So
pretty,
he's putting out misinformation on that because we tried to find a connection and prove that he was there, and it's like, to my knowledge, nobody in our investigative group of YouTube or whatever, I don't know that anybody could prove that he was there, even though they looked and tried.
Well, it's this Ian Carroll guy that's putting out the misinformation, but he's putting it out based on
I think and conversely, like when he is in Vegas, it's often very easy to prove that he's there. There's announcements, they talk about it, it's publicized. Am I wrong about that? I mean, they go for fights and things like that, and
maybe,
in this case, there wasn't.
But like, I don't know. It's all based off broken information, bad information, right? Because this whole thing was based off of a dude who was a security guard for the Tropicana that happened to be walking in with the police officers, that had a tat on his leg, had a
the softball guy.
Yeah, and for some reason, somebody, and I think it probably
that
was
was
Hoover.
Jason, the softball dude that was
I'm not
playing
gonna
the
say his name,
softball
dude.
game. The security, yeah.
I don't dox people out, but like,
well, I just his last name.
Yeah, don't say his last name. But so this was all the whole Saudi angle was based off that. That's what started this whole thing. Then it snowballed because people don't like to be wrong. And so a lot of people got in their head that Saudis were somehow involved. And then once that got proven wrong, the goalpost kept getting moved to the point where, now they're just fucking saying it like it's truth.
Yeah, I agree with you. That security footage of the softball player, the security guard, right? Not MBS, but these guys are still claiming that was MBS and that's proof it was Saudi, etc. The other thing worth noting is this idea of an exfil, right? When they had what Mindy Robinson called a planocopter, but basically that radar signature of some sort of vehicle. It looks like landing on the Mandalay. But when I reviewed the air traffic control audio, you can hear McCarran talking to that plane, and it's actually a plane. It's a Southwest jet. I think it's 4911 or 4119, something like that. And it was flying from the Midwest, landing at McCarran, and McCarran is telling it to slow down on the runway and make a right turn, like right as it's being on Flight Radar 24, rendered on top of the Mandalay Bay. And that's the exact signature. So they took that also and then concocted this whole fucking story about a Saudi exfil. The whole thing is very bizarre just because there's so much momentum behind it, and it seems like there's a lot of like initiative to carry it forward and to continue carrying it on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In my opinion, it's, hey, look over here. So you're not really looking where they don't want us to look. They're trying to focus us.
I don't know if Hoover's, a plan of some sort. I know a lot of people have said that, or if he's just a guy who built.
He's the only one that never got in trouble from YouTube.
Yeah, but he never went into David Hogg, and that's where everyone got in trouble. So everyone started attacking David Hogg, and that got everyone taken down.
I still, to this day, every month or so, get emails from YouTube that videos have been taken down. So they're still taking down stuff of mine, but Hoover's never had anything taken down. Even his COVID stuff didn't get taken down.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Hoover, To me, it's either he's either a plant or he's just a guy who built his whole channel off of one theory and he came out wrong. Because if he's ever proven wrong, his whole channel implodes. So he's going to fight tooth and nail to make sure everyone believes in this helicopter Saudi bullshit, because this is all him. Whether it's right or wrong, that's the only thing he's got going for him. Guys, let's hear what this idiot has to say.
And there's helicopters flying around that aren't on the flight radars. There's fucking all kinds of shooters that are definitely not just.
Okay, flight radar. That's a question that was coming up back in the day. Flight radar, you did not have to have whatever is the NTSB fucking whatever the fuck it was. At that point in 2017, it's different now. I think every helicopter has it. But at that point, commercial airliners, there were only, I think, if I remember right, 60% had it. And I believe out of private institutions, only about 20% had it around the U.S. So it was not mandatory. You didn't have to have the whatever it was that flight radar was tracking. But I think at this point in time, it's almost 100%.
That seemed to honestly be either a mistake or a misrepresentation by a guy named Brian Shields. I remember him first pushing that.
Oh,
because,
yeah, Brian disappeared.
But stand by one sec. So flight radar actually tracked all different modes, mode S, mode C, and the ADBS or whatever it was.
ADBS,
and you're right. That wasn't required. But if it was on an aircraft, flight radar was tracking it at the time. But they also tracked mode S. So.
Okay, see, I don't, I know at the time Flight Radar on their main webpage said that only a certain percentage of flights would be tracked by Flight Radar due to the percentages of commercial and private aircraft that were currently using that technology, and that technology was expanding. And the next year it changed a little bit. Nowadays you'd have to go back in the Wayback Machine to see that stat, but I think at this point it's almost 100%. But back then it wasn't, right? So, I mean, yeah, there could be phantom fucking planes that aren't going to be seen on flight radar, but they are going to be seen by, control towers, stuff like that. So a lot of people, I know somebody who was doing, who was attempting to do a FOIA to the FAA to try and get the flight data from that night. I don't know whatever happened with that.
Just the dude in the room. You can see that the footage of the body cam, the window is not broken when they go into.
Fuck you. It is fucking broken, you fucking idiot. Dude, sorry, but that's fucking bullshit. The window's fucking broken, dude. I mean,
well, wait a minute.
This fucking
James just asked if there was a cover up, and I just typed into that. I absolutely 100% agree, but maybe everyone on the panel tonight doesn't. So when you're jumping in going, hey, the window was broken, we don't necessarily know that for sure, do we?
Dude, I mean, if you haven't figured that out yet, there's way too much here. Let's
No, I do think it was broken. I was just kind of cracking a joke about that, though. I just want everyone in the stream to know not everybody on this panel all agrees with each other.
That's what's
we all have different ideas and different thoughts, which is great because it keeps it diverse and not all one-sided.
Okay, so here's the problem, right? You can disagree with me. I don't give a shit. But the problem is this guy is not saying this from a standard of it may not have been broken. He's not saying that. It doesn't look to me like.
No, he's saying
he's using
absolutely.
a state of fact. He's
oh
saying
yeah, and that's the thing. When we all talk about this stuff, we're like, yeah, kind of, maybe. I looked into this or that, and this guy. I hate when people are like this guy when they're absolute about something, and it's like none of us know absolutely. I mean, we've been looking for years, and it's like we don't all agree, but we know something's not right. But yeah, none of us are sitting there going, absolutely it was broken or absolutely it wasn't. It's like we don't know. I mean, I can assume that it was broken.
To me, it's absolutely broken, but that's based off of.
Well, no, I assume it was broken too. Yeah, but a lot of people, because was it Corey that said it wasn't broken? So a lot of people, base it off just that one thing.
Well, I believe Hoover was the one that originally came up with the window not broken thing, because in order to prove that the helicopters were doing the shooting, he had to prove that no shooting came. Yeah, so that's another. This guy's a Hoover guy. He's just a Hoover guy, and so he's mimicking Hoover's ideas, and obviously Hoover's wrong about just about everything, and but that was a Hoover idea, right? And so the funny thing about Hoover is when he first came out with that video.
But it wasn't just Hoover. It came from body cam originally.
No, it was Hoover.
One of the cops said it. I'm standing in front of a window that's not broken.
That was from a Hoover video. Yeah, Hoover is the one that captured.
No, that was from body cam I watched.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to dig to pick up the clip, but it was said in body cam. The guy
I remember that footage. Do we know which room was in which window in particular?
I believe that was Corey Mickelson, and Mickelson walked up to
I think it was Corey, and that's what I'm saying. He might have been in a different room with the wrong window, was mistaken, but it's like it was said in body cam.
You can see it in the video. You can see the exact window he walked up to. He walked up to the window behind the couch that somebody opened, because that window was not open at the original part of the breach. So somebody opened the curtain on that window or pushed it to the side. So originally Corey walked in and he said, he walked up to that window. He looked out the window because the guys across the street were saying, hey, we got sights on the window. We want to know if that's you because we see movement inside the room. We need to know if that's you. And then he went up to the window and he said, well, I got curtains open on a window that's not broken. And then you hear somebody in the background say, hey, Corey, it's over here.
Yeah,
and then you see Corey walk up to the window.
But that's what I'm saying. I was just trying to get the point across that Hoover didn't make that up. It was said in a body cam.
Hoover did make it up. But the problem is Hoover used that body cam to accentuate his point that he thought the window was broken. And the funny thing is Hoover used another photo from the ground to try and show that the window wasn't broken. But in that photo, if you zoom in on it and and I think the first one to do this was Daniel James, but if you zoom in on it and you hit the contrast and you fuck with the contrast on your thing so you can actually see the different color variations because it's all black, and you can actually see the window's fucking broken from the same picture that Hoover's using to try and say that it's not broken. So there's just way too many issues with that. That was a Hoover thing. This fucking guy, for him to come out and say, no, the windows weren't fucking broken. It's like, dude, fuck you.
He can't say that. And
the other thing is we know the window was broken at 10:15 by the bus stop video. We got the witnesses down at the bus stop and they're talking about glass falling from the Mandalay Bay. Right, at 10:15.
Yeah,
but
so
this
you have
guy
to just
we're
believe
watching
them,
right now never saw any of this. He's directly going by what Hoover presented. He's
probably
he's
friends
not
with Hoover on X.
investigating or talking like us of wait a minute, it was on a body cam. This guy never even saw a body cam. He's going directly from Hoover.
Yeah. So this guy, he's just a Hoover guy. And like I said, this is a video about a guy that's just glazing Hoover. Anyways, let's play some more. But yeah,
Hoover's never. What's bothered me about Hoover is all of us. We all thought different things in the beginning. Everyone had different ideas, but as time went on, and we sorted things out, it'd be like, oh, okay, that didn't happen, and we talk about it. Yeah. But Hoover has never ever said, okay, I was wrong about this, or oh, I looked into it more, and it wasn't what I thought. Hoover's never done that ever, and all the rest of us have.
Well, what Hoover does when he's proven wrong, because he's been proven wrong before a couple times.
I don't want this to be the I Hate Hoover show, because I do like him as a person. I just think his channel's weird.
Yeah, fuck him. But what he does, he just takes shit down. So he takes down videos if he finds out that it's been debunked. That's what he does.
I've heard of him doing that, and there's a lot of people that he's banned that challenge him. I've heard a lot of people in our community, they're like, they can't comment on his channel because of that.
Yeah, I'm banned from X with him. I'm banned on YouTube with him. And that's because I debunked one of his videos one time, and it was so bad and so blatant that he had to take it down. He just took it down.
I think I'm going to ban you because you don't agree with me.
You should.
Yeah, I think I will.
I mean, I get frustrated with the Hoover stuff, and because I get tired of answering the same questions over and over, and then people just moving the goalposts to where it's like, well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? And it's like, bro, like
the people that follow Hoover, honestly, we watch stuff just because it's, on Vegas, interesting to see what Hoover's doing now. But his like hardcore followers, they don't watch anybody else's channels. They don't do any investigating.
Yeah.
He's got a whole ton of people that it's like he's their go-to guy, and they don't know that there's anything else out there.
Yeah, because I mean, Hoover was pretty popular, and I remember, in
He's
the
got a
early
lot
days.
of subscribers.
Yeah, he was one of the original channels that I ran into when I first kind of got him involved in all this shit. And it's, the Hoover stuff. It was like I remember waking up and seeing the helicopter bullshit, and telling the girl that I was dating at the time, saying, "Oh my God, did you hear that, dude? It's saying helicopter shot at people."
Oh,
she had-
way back in the beginning, I thought Hoover was it. I believed all this helicopter shooting stuff.
Oh hell no, dude! Because then
Oh,
what
right
she
from the
asked me.
beginning, that was my theory. I was in some Facebook groups, and that was it. We went with that until time went on. And it's
For
like,
everybody
yeah,
in
there's
the
not enough
chat, I'm still
evidence.
there.
I know.
Still there,
Hey,
guys.
I
Still
am
there.
I am at the point where it's like maybe it is and maybe it isn't, but they haven't proven it either way. That's where I stand on helicopters. I don't want to say I'm totally against it
Oh,
in
I'm way
case
against
somebody
it.
comes forward and can actually prove it. So I'm still like, I could go either way, but I don't investigate it anymore, and it's not my thing. But I will absolutely not be surprised if somebody does prove it, and I won't be absolutely surprised if somebody proves that it didn't happen. Either way, it's
Well,
just not my
I
thing.
think we proved it on the cadence, the hue, the colors. I mean, you'll have to point and stick. You'll have to watch the video I did with redacted. I break it down, all the logical arguments as to why I think it's still a valid theory, but
Oh,
not for now.
helicopters.
Yeah, you've got to see that interview. I didn't give you the
Correct.
link to it yet. I'll get it to you. But
Well,
Xander
okay,
did a
so-
really good interview with that guy.
Yeah, because the problem with obviously it's Hoover stuff. So Hoover's kind of been the most debunked person on YouTube, but the as far as this Vegas stuff goes, but the problem with helicopters is absolutely zero evidence. So the evidence is there's blinking lights in the sky. There's blinking lights in the sky every fucking night, everywhere around the
There
world.
are helicopters circling.
There's definitely helicopters, yeah, but just the
Yeah.
fact that they have lights on them does not indicate gunfire. Coming from
yeah. I thought you were
right?
saying that there were just blinking lights because it was, the glittery city, and they
But
weren't
that's the
helicopters. So,
issue,
yeah.
and that's what Hoover was always trying to prove is that you had the blinking lights coming from the helicopters, and that indicated gunfire.
This is the thing, though, that people don't understand is Hoover's grasped onto this and has never changed from the beginning, but he doesn't come forth with logical evidence of any kind, where Xander has been working on this for years, and it's like he actually says, well, you'd have to see his video and talk to him more, but he actually has stuff that makes sense, not like Hoover where he's way out in left field and he's just grasping at straws, where it's like Xander will have stuff where I'm not saying that he's going to convert you or anything like that, but there will be a couple things that you're going to be like, oh, I didn't know that. Although Point is famous for like being able to debunk anything.
Well,
but yeah, Xander's got really, really good information, but it's not Hoover's information. It's nothing even
Right.
close to
I
what
feel like
says.
Hoover is more. I feel like Hoover is more of a reaction to those of us that were looking at the helicopter stuff, and like a deflection of what we're saying it is. He's shifting it in a different direction. But point and
Exactly. What
stick, man.
he's saying is
I'm
not what
open to a
Xander
quality
thinks.
critique. I'm open to a quality critique. I really feel like it's been pretty well sussed out but there's a lot of stuff to go over, and I don't want to do it on tonight's.
Yeah, I don't
live,
want
if
to
you
do
don't mind.
helicopters tonight. But yeah, I just don't want you to think that Xander's like Hoover, because it's like he doesn't like Hoover and he doesn't agree with Hoover at all. But that doesn't mean that they can't both have the same, I guess, theory, but they're going about it in totally different directions, to where Xander has information that helps.
The thing with me is I try not to put the cart in front of the horse. So, where is the evidence, right? What evidence do you have? And as far as a lot of this goes, there's a lot missing, right? And someone asked me yesterday, 2 days ago, what am I still doing here? Why do I fucking give a shit? Because, as far as I'm concerned, everything pretty much fits into a place. And
you don't believe that at all. People
No, I
don't
don't.
know you to think that you believe everything, because I know that you are not a narrative person.
Yeah. Well, that's just but I go around, and I do debunk a lot of what's, not following the narrative necessarily. But the problem is, if I could sit here in my head and debunk something and say that's not true and use, some sort of evidentiary ideology behind that, then, to me, it's a dead fucking issue, right? And a lot of this is dead issues, right? I got a body in a room filled with guns, surrounded by fucking shell casings with a broken.
That was not Paddock on the floor. I'm never gonna back down from that.
Hey,
you
you
know
can
that,
say
right?
that. I don't care if you say that or not, man.
Oh, I
really,
know, but you totally are set in your mind of like it was him, and I'm like,
Well,
no way. Mm-mm.
Well, let's, the thing is the questions that I have are not, what most people have. And, for me, it's like, where did he get all the money? What was this guy doing that he had all this fucking money, right? What is the motive behind it? Because
He was up to something, yeah.
And if you find the motive behind this whole event, then you'll find everything. You'll understand, I think, everything, and, if it's a gun deal gone bad, it'll make sense. It all makes sense. If it's
well, whatever it ends up
peddling
being,
drugs for the cartels,
yeah.
it'll all
If
make
we ever get an answer and it ends up, being something that's, okay,
yeah,
it's going to be bits and pieces of all of our theories. There's not any one of us that's going to be 100% right about our thoughts, but it's going to be part of one person and part of another person, and the community will have to come together in a way where we're like, oh, that makes sense.
No,
Instead of
come together.
I know, because everybody tries to stick to their guns and they're not open. I like on my show to have people like that all don't agree necessarily, because then you have a decent show instead of having 4 people on that all think exactly the same thing,
Yeah, but there's always going to be questions. There's still questions. There's still a lot of bizarreness behind this. And so, my ideology is try and understand this in as much detail as possible and what happened as far as all this goes. So, and that's pretty much it. But, I know it's not exciting to believe the narrative. I know that, the narrative is kind of the more boring of the possibilities of what happened that night. And a lot of people don't want to believe that. And then the problem you have with people like Hoover is, he will, and there's a lot of this that goes on within every community out there, is people don't want to be wrong, so you prove him wrong. He doesn't want to be fucking wrong. And the old days, all he used to do is he used to just take down his videos and that was it, and pretend like it never fucking happened, because he doesn't want to be fucking wrong. And the other problem with him and his channel is if he's ever proven wrong, well, he loses his channel, loses all credibility. He's done. So there's some issues with that. But I mean, yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of a lot of this Hoover stuff at all. And I know helicopters originally started with Hoover. That was his original thing. That started in the early days. Like, we're talking a couple days after the event.
Oh, wait a minute. Not too long ago,
Pause. No.
Xander had me dig up something for him. What was the date of his first video?
It wasn't Hoover. It was
you
actually
did a video for him?
IntelliHub.
Who?
We did a dive into this not too long ago with Hoover and the Saudis. Yeah.
Who was it?
Go ahead, Xander.
Who was it? I want to hear this.
Did we lose Xander?
Damn it. I actually wanted to hear that.
Hang on, let me go back to the StreamYard. Maybe No, he's still here. Xander, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. I think my my headset just died on me.
He wants to hear when we had done the thing not too long ago, where you wanted me to look and see when Hoover's first one was.
I want to know where Hoover got it.
Pointed stick about that.
I want to know where he got it.
Right. I think that IntelliHub
from Chris.
Chris and IntelliHub were the first to break anything on the helicopters. It was Truth Tracker and IntelliHub.
Rick Ardito contacted Shepard and Bellis because we didn't know that was our group originally when I told you pointed stick that we were all into the helicopters.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Rick
And once
Ardito contacted Shepard, and you guys were all in a group. You and Chris, who did the Truth Tracker, and Rick, and I don't know who else was in yours. Remember you guys small group, because I was like, here, you guys go run with this, and you ended up with Shepard, and that was the first helicopter thing. And we checked.
Shepard was doing it on his own first, Kathy. He was doing it on his own first.
You guys
he
contacted him?
No, Shepard was the first person to be talking about it anywhere that I know of, with Chris, True Tracker, kind of going. And then I saw Chris's stuff, and I said, I want to validate this on my own. So I went and got my own Flight Radar 24, looked at it from my own lens, and I was like, yeah, there's something there. Then I initiated FOIAs. So then we were working together as a group.
Date?
But Hoover seemed to be kind of a reaction to that.
Helicopter.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I remember we had looked back at Hoover's dates not too long ago just to confirm, and it was like, no, Hoover was way after with the helicopter.
It was after, yeah, it was like December-ish.
But point and six thing here, we were in small groups that no one else was in, so who would know what anyone was talking about?
No, that's cool.
Correct.
I'm just curious where Hoover got this from, because I was always kind of under the impression he,
well, I think Truth Tracker was the first one that got kicked off Hoover's channel, so he didn't like what he was saying, but he did steal his theory.
And I think this is something important to consider, is that the initial, we were talking about the High Incident Project. That was the first thing that leaked to the public, was High Incident Project. And we were talking about helicopters being a possible affiliated mechanism for High Incident Project. And then Hoover shows up and then tries to deflect everybody away from High Incident Project and towards Saudis, which is classic fucking intel. Blame the Saudis for something somebody else is doing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was kind of curious because I was wondering where Hoover got all this from. If the origination of everything.
Stole it from Truth Tracker.
Yeah, it's usually more interesting to me than the actual information where it all originates from. So that's pretty interesting.
Matt keeps ending up in the basement.
Yeah, he keeps disconnecting, I think.
Oh, he was doing something.
Let's go look more what this guy said. Let's hear some more Hoover fucking theories out of this.
I'm having internet issues, guys. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. You want to say anything? No?
Matt, you should talk while you're...
Well, no, I'm waiting to say what I wanted to say, but,
Go ahead.
Let's,
No, leave this on pause so Matt can talk.
Go ahead.
No, I wanted to talk about the timeline or the lock interrogation, but I was going to do that later. But go ahead and continue on.
No, you talking about lock interrogation, man?
Yeah, talk about it because we already passed that video, so talk about it now. Yeah.
And then we'll listen to Hoover's theories.
Go ahead.
I want to. Can I present something?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, take this off screen, man.
You're gonna screen share? Yeah. Just save your thing where you're at. Point and stick, so we have it. And then tell me when you're ready for me to add it to the screen.
We have an idea what that's gonna say anyway.
Oh, the Hoover guy?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Are you gonna talk or do you want to screen share?
You want screen share? Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I'm going to screen share and talk at the same time.
Oh, okay. Just tell me when you want me to add it.
Share screen. All right, how do I do all that?
You want me to pull up the lock interrogation? I can't straighten it out though, man. It's always gonna be sideways with me.
Just tell them how to screen share.
Well, I just wanted to show what would
go down to where it says present, hit share screen, and then click the tab that it's on. Or if it's not in a tab, it's not in a Chrome tab.
Do you have it pulled up on your computer, Matt?
Yeah, I have it on the computer right now.
Okay, then listen to him. He's going to tell you how to pull it.
Yeah, hit present, hit share screen.
See down in the bottom of the basement where it says present?
Yeah, hit that. Hit share screen.
I see. All right. Now there's two windows here.
Okay,
but my
so now,
thing that I
now
want to
Truth
put up.
Seeker has to put it on the screen.
But I don't see it in the basement yet, so he hasn't clicked something.
Yeah, so you got to go present, share screen, and then put it on the screen that you're putting it on. And I think you can only do one screen at a time. You said you got multiple screens up. I think you can only do one at a time, bro.
All right, hold on a second.
Oh, you can't jump around from screen to screen once you're on the share screen?
You might be able to. You might be able to put two different presentations at the bottom, but I
Yeah, I
think
thought when I did screen share, I could jump around.
Okay, if it's in there, try it.
Try to present it now.
All right, you have to hit present and then hit screen share.
Yeah, I did that already. All right, let's see.
It's not showing up in the basement.
All right.
There it is. Okay. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Now I'm going to add stage and it'll go on. There we go.
There we go.
All right, everybody can see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, it took them 72 minutes to breach the door, correct?
Oh, yeah, that's what it looks like.
72 minutes for
Okay,
SWAT
shooting-
to breach.
All right.
Shooting finished
Shooting
at,
stopped at
10:15, right? Or is it?
okay. Well, 10:15, 10:16, whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, around there.
if it took them 72 minutes to do that, then the second fit report that has the all the information about the timeline, they said that they breached the room at 11:20. Well, if that's the case, then if the shooting stopped at 10:15, how long did it take them to assemble and get up there?
Well, you kind of saw that throughout the various body cams. I mean, you had two cops that were on the floor below. They were too scared to go up there. They weren't going to go.
There's no reason for it to take them that long to get up there. The guy could have picked up a gun at any moment. and
I
started
understand that.
shooting.
I understand. Well, let me explain
I'm trying to figure out
what
what
I'm
he's
doing here. All right.
Yeah.
All right. My thing is 11:20. Because the door is open from the inside. Well,
yeah, which is natural for a door being blown off its hinges, I would think, right? Because no key card was swiped, so you're not going to get a guest card reading.
But the door wasn't blown off the hinges at that point.
It was pretty much blown off the damn hinges. I
Wait,
mean,
what time are you talking about, Matt?
it was laying on the floor.
all right. Let me
But not at the
redo
time
this
Matt's
here.
talking about.
Hold on. Let me don't interrupt me because you're confusing me when you do that. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Listen to what I'm trying to say here.
Okay.
It took them 72 minutes to get to the room, correct? To breach that door.
Yeah. Breach.
Well, if they breached it at 11:20, that's not correct. It would have been 11:27. If it was 10:15, 12 minutes, 72 minutes would be. Do the fucking math here.
It was 72 minutes from the last shot.
Right.
According to what? Like 72 minutes according to what?
LVMPD.
Okay. And that's final report?
Mm-hmm.
We pulled that up.
But they're saying here, but in the final report, when they're doing the timeline, they said that they engaged at 11:20. But it took 72 minutes
Lombardo
for them to get
also
up there.
said
Then
in a press
11:20.
conference that they took him out.
Well, he said they interacted with suspect or something of that nature.
Oh, he said they
No, we
engaged.
I don't remember the
engaged the
exact word on that.
suspect, and he is no longer.
They engaged. Yeah. They engaged. Yeah, he's no longer alive or whatever.
I think he said no longer with us or something.
So whatever that means.
Yeah, we got to mute.
I don't think Lombardo was completely clued in. Anyways, go ahead. Where are you going with this?
I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yes, you do, because you practiced this
Hold
the
on,
other day. Mute yourself.
I gotta find the
pointed
72-minute thing. All right. I gotta find.
It was also on a couple TV shows.
Well, what I'm saying here is that if it's 72 minutes, if it took them 72 minutes to get to the door and breach it, then it wasn't at 11:20 p.m. It was at let's see, it'd be like 11:27. But here it's saying 11:20. The door is open from the inside.
All right, I'm trying to find the 72-minute thing. So
it was on a couple of those TV things too, like Bitsko and those guys. Remember when they did the interview? They talked about that too. You know what interview I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
There was
about, like,
5
the 6 minutes interview?
LVMPD. I think, yes, it was 60 minutes. It was Bitsko and 3 or 4 other guys that had gone in, and they were interviewing them, talking to them about why it took so long and this and that, and they were giving all the excuses. So I think that is also another place we got the time. Do you remember that interview on 60 Minutes Pointed Stick?
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I don't remember them saying the 72-minute thing, but yeah, I do remember the interview. I mean, but I could be wrong. I mean, I didn't pay attention too much to that.
Well, we know from timestamp what time they went in the room or blew the door off the hinges. So we know that time, and we know the time of his last shot. So, I mean, we could figure that out anyways.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to figure out is what is the disconnect here?
Oh, okay.
Like, why do we have an issue with that 11:20 timestamp?
Well, the reason is because trying to do the math here is that if it took them 72 minutes to get up there, when did they start making their way up there? It wasn't at 10:15. Because they didn't have anybody assembled at the time. They had
you had
a team. It wasn't
the
even the
cops were Hendricks and those guys in Varson were arresting the prostitutes down in the security room, so they had it up because they were already in the building. And
right. There were 2 officers up on the 32nd floor.
So then the other cops or SWAT members, they weren't all SWAT even, but the other officers just kind of like formed this ragtag team to hurry up and get up there, but they weren't under direct supervision of anyone from, the head of SWAT. I think it was just whatever officers were in the area. Like, remember Bitsko showed up with the dog where he normally wouldn't have gone into a situation like that with his dog. So I don't think that it was a thing where they might have had to wait until they got orders from official SWAT because it was just a bunch of different guys. Bitsko was SWAT and one of the other guys were, but they were just out doing other jobs and happened.
What are we asking? Are we
whoever
asking
was
why?
nearby showed up. He's trying to figure out who went.
No, I'm not trying to figure out who went. I know that already. That's not the point I'm trying to make here. But my point is that I don't believe the door was blown open at 20 after 11.
After 11. When do you think it was blown open?
At 11:27.
Okay, well,
what about body cam timestamps?
We can figure that out.
I looked.
What did
on
they
the videos
show?
that I've seen, there was no timestamp on the videos.
Yeah,
there
so
were
you know what?
no timestamps.
You can do it. You know how? You take the new Levi footage because the Levi footage has timestamps, and you compare the Levi footage to the Bitsko footage. Find out the timestamp on the Bitsko footage, correlate those two together, which I think
But the
LV's
Hancock
There was
footage,
no, there was no timestamp on the
watched,
Bitsco footage. That's one of
right.
Yes.
In the
You're not
Hancock
listening.
footage, he wasn't there when they blew the door off on his body cam.
You're not listening. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to figure out the timestamp on the Bitsco footage by watching the Levi footage and correlating the two together. Then you're going to go back on the Bitsco footage, I don't know what, an hour, and you're going to figure out what that timestamp was. And you're going to see exactly what was going on at 11:20. Actually, it wouldn't even be an hour; it'd be like a half hour or something like that. So you get the timestamp. You could get a timestamp, an idea of what the timestamp would be on the Bitsco footage by correlating it to Levi Hancock footage, because they're both in the same time, same place with the same camera on. Am I making sense or no?
But in the Hancock
no, you're making
footage
sense.
we just
I
saw,
understand.
the footage we just saw of Hancock, the new footage, doesn't have the door being blown off.
Yeah, you're not.
No, we know
listening.
that.
And then the other thing you can do is you can always go back on the Bitsco footage, and I believe LVSA has done this, and you can find out the timestamp of the Bitsco footage by some of the radio chatter that's on there.
You're right. I forgot about that.
So you can time this out in multiple ways. If you really wanted to explore this exactly, you could figure out exactly what time they breached the door on video through Bitsco. But you got to do the homework to do it. So now you got to figure out the timestamp on the Bitsco footage. To figure that out, you're going to take the Levi footage, or you're going to take the radio chatter on the background of the Bitsco footage to figure out what a time is on that footage, right? Once you get that timestamp, then you fast forward it by however many minutes you need to fast forward it to get to the exact moment of 11:20 at night, and figure out if that's the moment they breached.
Gotcha.
So you can figure this out. It is possible to figure this out. And I think I believe LVSA has already done some of the legwork on that. I believe he's already got a video up that has both the Bitsco footage and the Hancock footage together.
The new Hancock?
Yes.
Oh, yes, okay. I didn't know he made a new one.
I believe he's already done that. So you can see the Bitsco footage starting at the point where the Hancock footage is. So all you got to really do is take that timestamp from the beginning of that footage that he correlated from the Hancock video, take that timestamp. Well, that's now the same timestamp it's going to be on, that should be on Bitsco's, but it's not because of the axon numbers. And then backtrack on Bitsco's body cam until you get to that point of 11:20 at night and figure out whether you're right or not. So, I mean, the whole idea behind we're looking at here the lock interrogation. I believe this is true. I don't believe lock interrogation is really all that messed with. There's a lot of errors.
Well, I can say it.
So I believe
this would be accurate because this everything's accounted for, because every time the door opens or the card swiped has a record. That's just how it is.
The problem is that 72 minutes.
It's what I'm saying that may or may not be accurate is the time from when they assembled and made their way up to 32nd floor, that it took them 72 minutes. So
yeah, where you're hearing that 72-minute thing, the 72 minutes is a problem. Where you're getting that from, whatever source that is from, that is the problem.
I think I have I had the 60-minute interview, but I think YouTube took it down for copyright. But I'm sure we can find it.
Oh, I'm sure you can. And I mean, maybe they said that.
And they might not even have said it on there. I mean, this is almost 8 years ago, so it's like I'm trying to recall where we got information from back in the day. So it may not even be that
somebody
interview.
was saying it. I mean, I don't know who said it, but it was talked about, early on.
I think Lombardo, because I think Lombardo in a press conference, had to justify why it took so long. And I think in a press conference, he had it broken down. Remember the timeline that he broke down in that one press conference? That might have been where it came from too, because people were asking why did it take so long.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I
been
don't know
so
where it
long.
came
I
from,
don't know.
who said it. I don't remember, but I do remember that it was said, and we had even talked about it, or it had been talked about on the YouTube chatter several times.
Yeah, that's the thing. You wonder, like, what came from there and what came from other sources. And I'm trying to recall stuff from so long ago, and it's like, maybe it wasn't the 60 Minutes interview. But I think maybe Lombardo talked about it in a press conference. Oh, the press conference Loomer got kicked out of. That's the one. I think that's when he was doing the timeline.
I don't think that 72 minutes is accurate. I think this is actually accurate. So I don't know where that came from.
It very well could be. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, like you said, I have to do the
you have
backtrack and from
you could ask
Hancock's
Google.
video.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a little bit of work, but I mean, you can do it. You can figure it out. It is possible.
It's worth doing. You guys should definitely do that.
How long did it take officers to breach the room in the Las Vegas shooting? We'll just see what Google says.
You can ask AI. Give you a Hoover answer.
Oh, an hour and 3 minutes. So now we're to 63 minutes. Google says an hour and 3 minutes. From 10:17 to 11:20. Does that correlate with your chart there, Matt? Not that this is right, but that's what Google says.
Well, then that's what they say. I mean,
But I mean, does that fit what your thing here on the screen is, or no? And that came from an Australian broadcasting.
Oh, okay. So 10:17 is where it's saying the LVMVD officers reached the 32nd floor. So they're getting that off of that information. So you had two cops up there. You had the bike cops or whatever up there.
Here we go. Los Angeles Times, from shots fired to all clear, 72 minutes.
Shots fired to all clear. Okay.
That's what the LA Times says. That's
a little bit
72
different.
minutes.
So is that the
what
second
I'm saying
breach?
is
that's a little different than.
Is that second breach, dude? Are we talking about second breach?
Well, I'm just saying that they mentioned 72 minutes, so it's like it's coming from somewhere.
Oh man!
But like I don't know.
It is second breach at.
And then another one says for 75 chaotic minutes, officers searched the floors.
So what was
I don't know,
72
I'm just
minutes? What would that
going
be? You said it was 11:27.
Well, if it was 10:15 or whatever, whenever the shooting stopped, I think it was 10:16 to be honest with you, but I could be wrong.
Well, in the report, it's 10:15, I believe. So.
Okay. Well, 10:15, then it would put it at 72 minutes later would be 11:27.
Oh, the LA Times has this broken down minute by minute.
So at 11:26, we have the second breach. All right, so the second breach was 11:26, so that puts it a minute away. And then if you're talking about an all clear, well, it took them a minute to clear that room, basically.
Lombardo did a press conference on the Tuesday after the shooting and explained why the 72 minutes. So 72 minutes we didn't just make up.
Yeah, so the 72 minutes would be the second breach.
Wait a minute. It wasn't Lombardo. It was the Undersheriff Kevin that did the press conference where they talked about that. Okay. So at least we know that they're officially saying 72 minutes.
Yeah, and that's the second breach. That's what that is. So that was when the room was officially cleared, I guess, and so that would have been the second breach.
Well, I'm still going to look into it, though, just to make sure that this is accurate.
Well, that's according to.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely look into it.
I'm just reading the FIT report. So, like, FIT report has 2326. Strike team made second explosive breach inside a room 32135 into 32134 through the connecting doors.
The FIT report came out after this press conference, though.
Yeah,
but that was released in October. That was released in August of 2018. The second FIT report.
So they had time to finesse that.
Yeah, but like that's where the information's coming from, right?
Yeah.
This was coming from a McMahill interview the Tuesday after the shooting was where the 72 minutes came from.
Yeah, but where do you think he got his information from?
Probably his boss. I don't know.
Okay, where do you think
the FIT
the final
report? Because the FIT report hadn't been written yet.
Yeah, but who do you think wrote the FIT report?
There was a whole slew of people. One was his wife.
Yeah, where did they get their information from?
They had a committee.
Okay, and then where did McMahill get his information from?
I have no idea. I don't
Probably
care.
the same people. I think it's all the same. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't really
There was
matter.
a group of people that got together in a room and made up the FIT report
They're
from
all the
information that they had gathered and put together. It was like a committee.
And so whether it's McMahill or it's FIT report, it's all coming from the same place.
Yes, McMahill, when he did the press conference, would have had to have been briefed by somebody. He couldn't just go in there and like wing it. So
And that's what
somebody
I'm
was
saying.
like, "Here's
the
your script."
generation, the origination of this information is all coming from the same place. What I'm trying to tell you. So
Probably the FBI.
It's all on board with the FIT report. You know, the what McMahill says is pretty much on board with the FIT report. The FIT report's on board with what McMahill said. It should be for the most part on. Oh shit! Sorry, I've been getting fucking text messages. Oh shit!
Telling you to be nice.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you're at work.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still at work.
Guys, it's been a long one for me. I'm gonna have to call it. But
Yeah, I'm
Cappy,
getting ready to
thanks for
call it too.
Yeah, thanks for setting this up. I think we covered a lot of good ground. Covered over
Well,
some new
tomorrow
information.
we're
so-
gonna do the actual Levi Hancock footage.
Yeah, we'll go through that, and you'll see some. Like I said, you can kind of get an idea of the. Well, I don't know, some of the bullshit in the room, and some of what he says. I mean, he runs down the narrative. You know, those who don't like the narrative are going to hate it, but that's what he does, and he kind of explains what he thinks happened that night a lot, over and over again to every cop that'll listen to him. But yeah, you should probably shut this down, dude, because I gotta go. I gotta get going too.
All right. Nice work, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
All right, we'll talk to everybody tomorrow.
Bye.
Sorry, man. Not trying to go hard on you, man. I'm just trying to understand what you're.
No, not at all. Don't sweat it. I mean, I'm just trying to see if this is accurate. That's all.
Yeah. No,
Because it's my first time actually seeing this part of the 1120. The only part I've seen was rain 36. I never saw anything past that.
I was just a little confused on where you were going with that. So I don't know. But like I said, I think it's actually a good idea, man, to go back and time that out. But I think you're going to find that this 1120 is accurate as far as when the breach happened. I don't think the 72 minutes, because like I said, I think 72 minutes is based off second breach. It looks like.
Very well could be. I don't know.
That's what I'm guessing. Anyways, guys, I'm out of here. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, we'll be on
Alrighty.
tomorrow, 8 o'clock, everybody. 8
Yeah, good night.
Eastern.
Talk to you
Thanks
later.
for coming on, guys. Bye.
Are we still on?
We are, but I don't want to do this on here because I don't know if accidentally someone could hear us, but I would love a phone call from you. Yeah, I don't know. I think it might. I don't know. It might still be on. I don't know
We're
how to
still live.
end it. Oh, there we go.